Here we go. Okay, reubencmg.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're an artist from London,
Yeah.
and you've just released your third album
Yeah.
today.
I did. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Happy release day.
Thank you. I'm actually enjoying myself at the moment. You know what's funny?
Mm.
Every time I drop something, a project, obviously, I always get like a message 1 hour after it's come out saying this masterpiece. I'm like, it's just 1 hour. Not that I get lots of messages, but I always get people. I'm saying just let it. You know, like,
Really? But
yeah.
that's sick though.
It's cool, but you're right. But I'd rather someone to listen to it and take time and you know what I mean, and just say, "Oh, this is dope."
But they might have if it's an hour.
But now I feel like you haven't even listened to it. You know what
Oh,
I mean?
you think they're just being
Yeah.
generic, like
Or speeding through it or something.
Oh,
Whereas
okay.
I like you. I'd much rather you tell me your favourite tracks, but proceed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's good for us just to get some context on you, who you are, and then we'll talk about the album.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of aspects of it that are very interesting, from the title, the artwork, the tracks on it. I think you touch on a lot of quite deep issues,
Yeah.
topics, themes that we would discuss. But yeah, I think it's also important to bring along new people on this journey, so let's better understand you. So, Reuben, as a child,
Yeah.
what were you listening to?
So, as a child, you're referring to when I was like 7, 8? When I was just younger than how I am now?
Yeah, as a child, so up until, let's say, the age of, let's say before you were a teenager, because I think by then we kind of we understand ourselves musically in a way, like what kind of music we like. So let's say before the age of 13, what were you listening to?
That changes everything. Yeah, so before 13, it's just pop.
Really?
Just pop.
What, Britney Spears?
Not Britney Spears, anything that was on Choice FM.
Okay. Oh, so
Yeah.
still like R&B, hip hop, but like
Yeah,
they're
but
very popular.
for some reason, Choice FM was playing, you know, Tiny Temper and all these. And it's weird. I remember always having my earphones in. I listened to anything 24/7. Choice FM. To be fair, I did listen to Channel AKA.
Yeah.
So
The fact that you call it Channel AKA.
What's it supposed
Channel U is its original name. This is... listen, as a millennial, are you Gen Z?
I don't know what Gen Z is.
I think you're Gen Z. But yeah, the fact that you've called it Channel AKA is Channel U.
No, I do know it's Channel U. You're talking... I don't want to add names, but you're talking about the old...
Yeah, old Channel U.
Yeah, but because it's so recent, I know it as Channel AKA because it's...
Yeah, I think that's the name they changed it to. It was Channel U when it first came out.
Okay,
and But so listening to Channel AKA.
Listening to Channel AKA, Stars TV, I don't know if you remember that. Yeah, I was just, obviously sometimes I'll flip to Kerrang.
Yeah.
You know,
listen, we had to do what we had to do to try and hear our music.
It's true. But I'd keep it low. I'd keep the sound low so people don't know I was listening to it. But just a lot of pop if I'm being really honest. You know, like, because I think in the UK predominantly at that time, there wasn't really like street rap or like gangster rap or anything. It was a bit more, it was either pop or like quite conscious. You know, like Kano.
Okay.
Skinny Man, I think, is a little bit conscious. Kalashnikov. Yeah, and I'm not saying I listen to them and know all their discography. I'm saying that's what it was, so that's what I listened to.
Okay,
I didn't really go and search out new music. What I can say is I was listening to a lot of pop from America and from the UK. So, yeah, that's what I was listening to.
So just to clarify, when you say pop, you mean like the popular hip-hop music and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so what's your earliest memory of a piece of music actually making you feel something?
That's a good question. Okay, something just came into my head. But it wasn't more so to do with the lyrics. It was the production.
Yeah, which is part of it.
It was part of it, but the song wasn't like a serious song. It wasn't.
Okay, but I didn't ask. It didn't have to be a serious. Like, you just had to feel something.
Okay, yeah. Real. I just like the production. It up till now it sounds nostalgic, but at that time, it still felt nostalgic.
That's so interesting. What was it?
It was a song called Dirty Menace. She
She
wanna roll.
How does it go again?
I'm not singing it.
Wait. How did?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, but the beat sounds nostalgic for some reason.
Okay.
It sounds like it makes you think. And even though the lyrics are like he's talking about women and he's talking about flashy cars, it still sounds like nostalgic. And it's probably because it's still cool because at that time I didn't have anything. I was young.
Yeah.
But it's still like, oh, you can do that and you can have that and you can. So yeah, the production made me feel a type of way.
And it was that nostalgic element. Did it have like a sample in it or something? Or
Yeah, it
was
went.
it
Dun, 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 dun,
So you sing it?
dun, 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 dun. And I just like that. I just like that.
So that's interesting though, because I actually think like, and we'll talk about your album, but your music style does have a nostalgic kind of feel to it.
You think?
Yeah, I think that it definitely. And it's funny as well when you get a nostalgic feel to something you haven't heard before. Do you know what I mean? Because it's also like, so there's definitely elements of it that make you reminisce on old things or just even an older time. Do you know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that.
But we'll park that and we'll get to that. So that's interesting actually. So a song that felt nostalgic to you was one of your earliest memories of music actually meaning something to you.
Yeah, and I appreciate the fact that you said my music sounds nostalgic because I think that's the type of music I appreciate the most. And obviously, if you couple that with actually saying something, unlike the record I heard previously that I just mentioned, that is even more like the person that's listening to it is just, it's like a timestamp in their life for me. So yeah, I appreciate you saying that.
So who would you say from a young age was an artist that you just really appreciated their artistry? So they don't have to made similar music to what you make now, but you just like, you kind of looked at how they went about music creation and you're like, I admire that, I appreciate their stance and their style.
There's a million.
Okay, give me someone we can talk about.
Tinchy Strider.
What's the earliest song you know of Tinchy Strider?
Well, he started when he was like 12. So I don't even think it was songs for him. It was just like sets.
Yeah.
You know, you got things in boots. We got things in boots. And because his voice was so like nasally, it's like, this is so cool. When I was 12, I wasn't. I wasn't. Yeah. And imagine being a 12-year-old on stage, just making people. That's crazy.
That's true.
It's crazy to me. It's weird.
So, because if we look at Tinchy Strider's career, I mean, what's your thoughts on it?
For me, it's like his ability to do pop, and I have heard like times where he has rapped, and for some reason it's a bag that I try to get into, but I'm not as comfortable, so I can appreciate when I see it. I'll give you an example. It's like if I hear a record where it's like a party record or a pop record, but the lyrics sound like they should be on a different type of record. It's always interesting to me. Like Dizzy Rascal used to do that. Like he used to do you know the song "You've Got the Love"?
Yeah.
And his first verse is that everybody wants to be famous, nobody wants to be nameless, aimless. People act shameless, trying to live like entertainers.
Are you rapping to me now?
Yeah, but imagine he's in a festival rapping that.
Yeah.
To me, it's like that is so dope. Because if I hear a beat like that, I'm trying to talk about things that I can't. It's just difficult.
Yeah.
And I think something that you can't do, you appreciate in other people that can do it. Like there's things about my rapping style that I know it's me. It's in my pocket. And I'm sure other people appreciate that. But it's so easy for me to do an effortless that I might not see that they appreciate that.
Yeah.
But on the other side, things that I don't find easy to do, like another name, like Mike Skinner. Like sometimes he raps, well, a lot of the time he raps and he doesn't have the same end rhyme.
Yeah, because he's like poetic. He's like
poetic,
poet, isn't he?
And sometimes when I'm writing, I'm trying to not have the same end rhyme, and the end rhyme comes into my head. I said, oh.
Do you know? Yeah, that is. I think to consciously try and break out of a habit, because that is like a habit. Do you know what I mean?
It is.
Because there are a few because like even like AJ Tracy does that sometimes, but he would even say, and you thought I was gonna say,
yeah.
But I appreciate that stuff because it's like, okay, you're really taking me on this journey. We're not just going around.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, we're going here.
Exactly. Yeah. So like with the Mike Skinner thing, it's like something that I'm trying to do, but I appreciate in someone else, and yeah, I guess that's it.
What about the accent? Do you want Mike Skinner's accent?
Nah, he's from a different culture. Well, I can't say that I don't know him personally.
But he's just him.
Yeah, I'd assume he's from a different culture to me.
Yeah.
I'd be right in assuming that, wouldn't I?
Well, yeah. So, okay, so that's you up into your pre-teens. I feel like we've kind of gone now into your teens a little bit.
Yeah.
As well. So at what age did you start to like see music as an actual thing that you're going to take seriously?
So I'll probably try and break down two parts of that, even though it'll probably be a little bit lengthy. But I think 15, 16 is the first time I recorded something in a youth club studio. But 11 is the first time I started writing, which is a big gap. And to be fair, at 11 years old, I was writing all the time, 11, 12, 13, 14, because in school, like, I remember, it's weird because if you say things that people don't know that happened to you in school, they're like, this guy's lying.
you know, in the comments, you go,
but it's
I went to school with him.
It's true. I remember, because I used to do talent shows. I used to have performances everywhere. 5 people would turn up, but I used to have performances.
Yeah.
I was super into music, and for some reason, when you're young, you get a lot more opportunities, right? So when they see you here, they'll say, hey, come here, come to this studio, come and do this, come and do that. So 5 years in between that. But people will come up to me in school and just want to battle rap me or something. You know what I mean? No, it's true.
But yeah, that was definitely a time though.
It's true, right? And I don't know why, but I'm saying that to say the 5 years doesn't really make a difference. I was still sort of like writing so much, going to school, rapping to my friend.
And was it always with the intention of eventually I'm going to go to a studio and I'm going to record this? Or this was just a form of expression?
Nah, it's a form of expression. While you're talking, I'm trying to think about why I was even writing. And now I know the answer.
What is it?
It's just to show off to my friend.
To show off?
Yeah, so most of the lines were punchlines. Because at that time, that's when Krypton Conan, so most of the rhymes were punchlines. So I was trying to see if I said something better than him or that was more clever or witty than him. And he was my actual friend, so we were basically rapping to each other.
So what was your style then? Because I felt like there was always like a few typical ways you would deliver your punchlines. So that would be like that repetition thing or...
style was horrible.
All right, horrible. What was one of your lines?
So basically I used the word oven.
Yeah. Oven. Okay, yeah.
And I tried to twist the word.
Okay.
to be off and on.
Oh, do you know what though?
It didn't work.
Right.
Not in the maybe. But I love Eminem can do it. I can't do it.
The idea.
Yeah, I remember that line specifically. I said off and on, and obviously oven referenced something I said earlier. Probably talked about heat or combustion or something.
Sorry, I'm just thinking about there's a TikTok video of some girl on a battle rap. Yeah. And she delivers her line and it just does not land, and I'm just imagining how that was for you.
But to be fair, when you say it does not land, the person I'm rapping it to, because like I'm saying, this is my friend. Like, we're literally writing every single day and coming back to each other in school, and he probably he's probably thinking this is dope. Either that or he just skips past the line, and the next one, if I say it's better, then do you know what I mean? Yeah. Don't get me wrong, because it was basically punchline rap because we're trying to show off to each other. One of those lines are bound to hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
if it hits, then somebody...
So you just going.
So
okay, just on the note of like writing then, so what was your relationship with the subject of English in school then? Because that's where we would explore creative writing and...
Yeah. I'm so glad you asked that.
This is what I do.
I'm so glad you asked that. Again, even referencing something I said earlier. Sometimes people think you're lying if you're saying something because they were at that point, they were there with you.
Yeah.
But because they're not you, they weren't.
Yeah,
they didn't see your whole journey. I was with someone the other day, and he told me, it was actually at a performance actually. I performed somewhere. And they before we went on stage, they said, Reuben, do you remember in English, this person wasn't even in my class, he said, do you remember in English, you got an A star for coming up with a poem about the toilet?
The toilet?
I remember, and I always wanted to tell people this because I specifically came up with a poem about anything. I said, what's the worst thing I could make a poem of? And I thought, toilet, just something. Because I wanted to test my writing skills.
Yeah, okay,
And I managed to get an A, and I'm so glad he said that because I was like, I want to show off and tell people that. Because obviously everyone's writing about something serious.
Yeah.
I'm saying I really want to test myself.
So just out of curiosity, what did you talk about in this poem?
I can't remember.
Because there's a lot of play on words that you could do.
I think it was less play of words, more like structure and storyline. Less play on words because I don't think the English teacher knows the reference.
Yeah.
But it was actually a dope poem, and it's just weird. I just remember that because I always want to tell people that story, and the fact that he knows, because I think the teacher might have been showing it off to people. But I've always, I don't know, it's an achievement for me.
So do you remember that teacher?
Yeah, for sure.
So have you ever sent that teacher your music?
Nah, never, no.
Because you know what, and I say this because I recently went into a school to talk to them about the importance of English as a subject in my career, and that is through interviewing, chatting to people, all of that. But it's like, I don't think we realise how much we consume as a child and then how much of an effect it actually does, an impact it does have on our career. And then when we look at rapping, I think sometimes we forget the excellence that comes out of that. We seem to think that, they're just on the street rapping or they're just in the playground, but it's a craft and it comes from somewhere. It's a skill. Not everyone can do it. So the fact that you got A star for a poem where you rapped about a toilet is a skill.
Yeah, I actually think I was super dope at English. I think I got an A. Yeah. I was quite good at English. Not that I was super excited about it. It's weird because now, if you put me in an English class, I'll probably love it. But back then, because it's mixed in with all the other stuff you got to do, you don't really take this poem, Shakespeare thing you read, you don't understand how deep that is.
It's true.
Yeah, whereas now I'm like, I'll get this.
So let's talk about reading now as well.
Yeah.
Did you read much?
Nah. My thing is I listen. I think, you know how they say there's different type of learners? I find it hard to just sit there and read. Don't get me wrong, I do it because you have to. But I do listen more than I read.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got A star for a poem in school.
Yeah.
And that was in English. Right, okay, so you mentioned also 11, you were out in the playground, you were battling your mate.
Not all the time.
No. You get an A star, so we know it wasn't all the time. And then it was when you were 15 that you recorded.
15, 16, yeah. I just want to say 15 to sound like I did it earlier.
Okay.
But it might have actually
16.
been 16, yeah.
And this was at a youth club that had a space, a studio space. Tell us about the youth club, because that's a nostalgic thing nowadays.
Yeah, lots of, like I said, I hate throwing names out there, but lots of people have gone to that studio. It's weird. I've seen, people on the charts in that studio.
Really? Is it still around now?
Yeah.
Love that.
Still around now, I believe, yeah. Cool studio, man. Not to take the subject away from anything, but obviously it's a stream of consciousness, what I'm thinking. But I remember, now I can appreciate that space and the people in that space. And one of the reasons is because I remember the person that used to mix and master, he didn't mix it, but he recorded us and he mixed it slightly so it was good enough to go out, basically. Okay. And it's weird because outside of the studio, he's on the streets. You know what I mean? But in the studio, it's only until I saw him on the streets, like, hustling, that I thought, wow, you can do that. Like, you're a genius to me. Because the only thing I can do, not to downplay myself, and I'm sure it won't be the case forever, but the only thing I can do is write, rap. I can't, if you put me in a studio, in a sense, I might be clueless as to what goes on. But at 15 or 16, however old this guy was, he knew how to do this and this and that and this and that, and record us and mix it and tell us to do this again. And do you know what I mean? I appreciate those times. At that time, the studio was hot and stuffy and sweaty. I'm in much better studios now.
But you had to start somewhere.
You had to start somewhere, yeah, but it was free. So
yes,
and even more importantly, I feel like you were touching on the importance of the youth clubs. The people there were super cool, and even outside of music, people in there sort of helped me in a way to make a living. You know, like, help me outside of music, just navigate through life. You could talk to them, so it is very important. But perhaps more important for others than maybe me.
Yeah.
Because I've always had my head screwed on a little bit tighter than most, I think. But for some people, they're probably very, very useful. To me, they were very useful. Yeah.
So do you think if that space didn't exist, like, when do you think you would have gone to a studio, or do you think you would have gone to a studio?
Good question. I have no clue. I'm guessing I would have gone to one at some point because I was rapping, and I think the natural process is ending up recording what you've said, what you've written down. But yeah, they gave me the first opportunity. Yeah, because my friend, it was my.
Yeah, that happened. Sorry, you know what? I wish I brought water.
Should we knock and ask them for someone? You good?
Yeah, yes, please. You know,
Okay.
I feel like.
All right, this is a little break. We're coming back.
We're gonna take a break, but that's fine. And we're back.
Okay. What happened? How did we get off?
Listen, sometimes my throat, I don't know, enemy of progress, innit? Evil eye sometimes. Whoever's watching. Right, okay, so you had the youth space that allowed you to record your music.
Yeah.
And then this is something that you do on a regular basis now. So from there, where did it turn into, okay, I've got a project, I'm going to bring out a project. Tell us about your first project.
The first project was called Who Made the Sunset.
A nice title.
I like that title.
Who do you think made the sunset?
Do you know what it's in reference to? Who Made the Sunset is basically saying, I love you so much, girl. Be with me, basically. It's basically who made the sunset. You're the sunset.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because it came out around February.
It was around Valentine's Day.
Around Valentine's. Not that day, but around that. So I just wanted to make a record. And the truth is, I think there's 11 songs on it. It's not all about love, but it's all aspects of love. Like a heartbreak, grief, annoyance, because all of these things can fit into...
Why have you not mentioned anything positive?
Oh, for sure, there's positive things in there. Yeah, 100% there's
heartbreak.
But there's a like one of my favorite records in there. It's called Rain Chops, and it's just about, sounds super sad, but just about a girl that's yours passing away and why the reason she did it and stuff. So yeah, there's sad songs on there. There's happy songs on there. There's a song that's happy called Any Little Thing. You know, last night around 8, 9, we really had a great time. I told you about your waistline. You're the type of girl I like. You don't waste time. I'm so happy that I'm telling all the grapevine. You know?
Is this the fact that you're rapping to me?
You know? Like, so there's happy songs on there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So that was your first project? That was an album?
Yeah, that was the first one, unless someone's taken my name.
Okay, yeah. And what year was that?
This year.
Oh, really?
This year, yeah. This year.
So you've released 2 albums basically in the space of a year?
Space of a year, yeah. I'm on my 3rd one, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so you released 3 albums?
Yeah, because this one's today, isn't it? Yeah.
Wow. Okay, right. Let's talk about you and the music.
Yeah.
Why albums? Because it's funny because there's a lot of conversation online at the moment now that like people aren't bringing enough albums out, or it's just like it's just EPs or it's just singles now people just put out.
Yeah.
Why because to release like 3 almost back-to-back albums, why have you decided to go with that approach?
So sometimes you have a belief that you don't know why you have it, right? So when I'm doing it, I don't know I'm doing it for this reason. But now you've asked and I'm thinking about it for one of the first times, I'm imagining like an author releasing a page of a book. It's like, why not release more pages of the book? You know what I mean? So people, especially if the songs connect, as in that they fit together.
Yeah.
Why not put them all together and put them out? Again, I'm of the belief that because the music is for your people, so your fans, you've got to give them your music and you've got to give them quite a bit of it. I think like artists, and it's fair, but artists sort of release music in a way where they just want to make as much money from it as possible. They're not really caring about their fans because it's so strategic. Whereas I think this is music. It should just be like spirit, in a way, like a spiritual thing. Like you just want to release it, go ahead. You shouldn't really think about you should, if you want to make a living out of it, which obviously I do. But I'm a bit more conscious. I just want to give the music to the people that really rock with it and just not treat them like a customer, for example.
So you mentioned you're almost thinking like an author when you release your music and it's like pages in a book. So would you say you've released 3 books so far, or are all these albums part of one book and these are chapters in the book?
Nah, definitely 3 different books.
Okay.
Yeah, so the first one, like I said, is just totally Who Made the Sunset is in reference to a girl. I love you, who made you, who made the sunset. The second album was called 'Twas a Night In, so It Was a Night In. And that's basically, 'Twas a Night In, when I thought of that line, it just sounds like a closed line, like you're closed in, like you're at home, it's a night in. Obviously the cover art references that as well, so there's a woman sitting at home reading a book by herself. And that was around those themes of loneliness,
Right, okay.
stuff like that. And then obviously this one, I kind of see it as a mixture of both. Not a mixture of both of the topics, but more so a mixture of conscious plus singing plus a little bit of this, and it's a bit of both. Yeah.
Okay.
Some more songs on it.
Okay. So your album came out today, the newest one.
Yeah.
We Are All Dead in the Living Room.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that title. We Are All Dead in the Living Room. Feels like we're in a living room right now.
Yeah.
What's your idea of a living room? Like, if I said to you, I'm just in my living room, what kind of image do you have in your head?
Cozy.
Cozy, okay.
Cozy. Yeah. Relaxed.
So how did you think of the concept or the title, We're All Dead in the Living Room?
So if I'm going to be completely transparent, when I think of things, I always write them down if I get the time to. So when I think of album names or ideas for stuff, I write them down. And We Are All Dead in the Living Room was one of them. And I think, obviously, as you just mentioned, the living room is just relaxed and cozy. And being dead is like a juxtaposition.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Living room.
Living,
dead.
Dead. It's like is an oxymoron. And but that's not really the reason. I didn't just want to write something that it sounds clever, because I think a lot of album names are just that, like oxymorons, juxtapositions.
But sometimes it works.
Sometimes it works, but that's not the reason why. Totally, it's probably like half the reason. The main reason, and to tell you the truth, the word that sticks out for the album for me is nihilism. You know, like being nihilistic. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
So when it's like we're all dead in the living room, it's like we're all in the living room, but we're dead.
Right, yeah.
Like we're all here, relaxed, cozy, but you don't really know that you're not here. We're dead in the living room.
So is it also about being absent from your own life?
For sure, yeah. That links in with the nihilism thing. Yeah, like we're all dead in the living room, and like I'm saying, I can pick apart each word. So we are could have been I am.
Yeah.
But it's not about, it's not me, it's a collective thing. Do you know what I mean? We are all in a living room together. You know what I mean? Like, none of us can really escape this kind of thing.
So what's the living room then? If it's not the physical living room, what's the living room?
Good question. Thinking about it, I actually meant a physical living room, but it's obviously the words are just being in somewhere that's safe, like somewhere that's relaxed, somewhere that's cozy. The living room is the place for that. You know what I mean? So that's why.
So if that was to become like a saying that people say, like, mate, he's just dead in his living room, yeah? What's that
First of all, I need money every time someone says that.
I'm going to start saying it, mate. He's dead in his living room right now.
I need money if everyone starts saying that.
But, like, what would that saying really... Like, what would that saying mean if they used it?
That's a good question.
In a flippant way, obviously, because... Yeah.
We are all dead. Probably be like, there's no point in doing this. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, there's no point in doing this.
It's also given the lights are on, but no one's at home.
Yeah, what do you mean by that, though?
No, but that's a saying. That's a very
British... I know that phrase.
But that's more like nothing's really going on up there.
Oh, yeah, like, but that's in reference to the
mind and yeah, and just like, intelligence maybe. And
in a situation, if something happens, say, forget that, we're all dead in the living room. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point of doing that?
Okay.
Don't give that to Jack. We're all dead in the living room.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't think that one makes sense. I should have used it better.
Don't give it to Jack. Sorry to Jack.
Yeah, because why would Jack not want it?
I don't know. We'll ask Jack.
I don't know. It's probably a situation probably a bit more complex than that. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, for its title to kind of go along the lines of what's the point? You've got quite a lot of tracks.
That's true.
So there's a point. But before we talk about that, let's talk about the artwork.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so the artwork is and here's you pretending like I've never told you this before.
I was gonna say we spoke about this. So yeah, in the name and theme of transparency, we spoke about this before.
For sure.
And I made an assumption that it was AI.
Definitely not AI. And
but we are in a day and age now where you could type in like...
Don't get me wrong, I have used AI before. I'm not going to pretend like I haven't, but that was not AI. But
this actually isn't AI. Someone's actually created this artwork for you.
Yes.
So what was the conversation that you had with them for them to come up with
Cost me money. Cost me good money. It's his artwork, his gallery.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And even the previous album was like a collage style, and that's again a collage style. I think a collage, I like art, but I don't know everything about art. I think is that when you add extracts of other images onto that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's been done in this one as well. But I really like the album cover because for me, the album cover always dictates the name. Oh. For sure, yeah, always.
So you had the album cover before you had the name?
No, not necessarily. The album cover would have just fit with the name.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Even the first one, the picture of the girl standing there in the beach, who made the sunset. You know what I mean? The second one, 'Twas a Night In, the girl sitting down, 'Twas a Night In. So when I see them on the stairs, and I don't know why I thought this, I don't know if other people would have thought the same thing, but when I see them on the stairs, decorating whatever they're decorating, I'm saying, what's the point of this? You know, like, especially when above that you can see like at the very top is like almost like an afterlife, like an inferno, red and orange colours. So the further you keep going up, you're gonna get to that point. But you two are sat in the middle decorating this thing. So I thought, you know, we're all dead in the living room.
What's the point?
Yeah, like what's the point? And it looks cool as well.
It does.
It looks cool as in like they're designing these things with whatever they're designing, and even though I don't know those two people, they're probably thinking, this is it, we might have a dog. Obviously I'm adding things onto it, but I'm actually thinking we might get a dog after we get this, and then our children and But it's like, you know, we're all dead in the living room. You know what I mean? Yeah. So nihilistic is,
So how come you've never been on your own album cover? Why is it always other people? And I'm presuming people that you've never met.
Yeah.
Why?
Don't know. Not sure. I don't think I'd have myself as an album cover because it's not about me.
But it's your art.
Yeah, but
Your voice, your words.
my words, but I don't think it's about me. It's in the message that you're trying to get across. It's like a universal message. It's not about you. You just want to get your point across. People are always going to know when they see Spotify and see reubencmg.
Yeah.
They're going to know it's me. I don't want to say it's pointless because in the future I could end up... Because what a lot of artists do is they got this baby image, and I've got lots of baby images.
So over the baby image.
Yeah, but my ones are cool though.
What does everyone think?
No, my ones are cool. Believe
Okay.
me, my ones
To be
are...
honest, I think, when they're used in, like, cooler ways than I've seen.
Yeah, I was wearing a suit. Come on, man.
Okay.
You ever seen a baby in a suit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Christmas.
But not as the album cover.
Okay, I hear that, yeah.
I am playing around, but I feel like my ones look cool. Yeah, but I don't see myself using them anytime soon.
Okay. Because also that's another thing we didn't touch on. reubencmg. What does CMG stand for?
So, I've got quite a few names from previously. Teasy. Don't know what that was. Teasy. Don't know what that was.
Like TZ? Or...
No. Teezy.
Oh, Teasy.
Teasy, yeah.
Is it a tag name?
Tag name, probably,
Okay,
yeah. RG.
RG.
But then it's like when people are searching up, a million other things are
yeah.
That's not what I was thinking at the time, but that's a good reason why now I definitely should have that name. But CMG is two things. So I did forget how I came up with the name. It's either one or two things. You know the American rappers? Their names are like Cool Mo D.
Okay, yeah.
You know, like stuff like that. I'm trying to think of another one. There's lots of them. Easy Mo B.
Yeah.
So my one, I don't want to say what my one was. Even DMX was Darkman X. But my one was probably something along the lines that I thought at the time was Cool Man G, or, you know what I mean? Something like that.
Okay.
But...
So it's not just your last names that you've abbreviated?
No. My last name starts with an A. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's definitely not my last names. So CMG, and then everyone obviously starts calling you that, so you just stick with it. No one was calling me Teasy when I said Teasy.
So do they just call you CMG sometimes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, even to this day. Well, obviously to this day, because...
Yeah, to this day.
But people that don't know my music, unless they heard the first one, they'll probably still say CMG.
Oh.
Yeah, so yeah.
Okay.
So it caught on.
Okay. So let's talk about the album. We all did it in the living room. You talked about the artwork, talked about the title. Let's talk about how you even put in, because it's 14, 15 tracks?
14 tracks, yeah.
14 tracks.
Again, pretending like you don't know. The last one was obviously they didn't let it go through.
Yeah.
Because...
I saw it on there though.
Yeah, because of the sample. No, it's not on there, no.
There's still... Oh, okay.
Nah, the bonus track's on there, but there's a You Mean Everything song that...
Oh.
That... I forget the artist, like a 70s or 80s record, and they're singing and they won't let you.
They don't get it. Sorry.
Yeah, but 14 tracks, yeah.
14 tracks. So, were there more to go on this? Like, did you have to make a decision what was going to make the cut? Or was it like, you literally just created all the tracks and it was like, yeah, they're all going on there? Obviously, apart from the one that couldn't go on.
Well, for sure, I've definitely got tracks that aren't on there. That are on my phone that I'll listen to.
That you created around the same time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll even tell you something. You might not believe this, but...
That's an assumption. I will believe it.
No, I don't think you might believe this. What day are we on? Friday.
Yeah.
I recorded probably 7 of these tracks last Friday.
Oh.
See, that's your face. So it's quite quick. The turnarounds were super duper quick. So it's all fresh. You see?
I was doing maths then.
Yeah, that's 7 days.
Right.
I recorded 7 of these tracks, and even I wrote a lot of these tracks 8 days ago. So on the Thursday.
So when did you know you were gonna have an album?
Oh, I knew it, because don't get me, 14 songs. even if 6 will start there, but I'm saying I need to get in the zone, write these records, and then go and record them. So let's say on a Friday I went and recorded the 7.
So who do you use as a distributor? Because I see a lot of artists on the timeline complaining that their music was supposed to come out 2 weeks ago.
Not with me, I haven't had that problem. But when you make good music, you see...
Don't put it down to that.
the
distros... We're not talking about the quality of the music.
The DSPs listen to the music and say, this needs to come out.
Wow.
That's what they do. So I don't want to speak on any other artists, but they might want to check the catalogue.
Wow, you know I mean? Like that. Okay. Sending shots.
No, I'm playing, but I don't... the distro I use is fine. I don't want to shout them out because they haven't paid me.
Oh, don't. Yeah, no free promo.
But never any problems with them.
Okay. Because, that's like a quick turnover, clearly.
Quick, yeah. And I like it because... I like it because I genuinely like it because it's so fresh. So, you know... Because when you're writing it, you're actually thinking about what you're writing about. So I'm thinking, 8 days ago, I was...
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So this is very current.
Even referencing something that was 8 days ago. So let's say in my rap I said, today I woke up and I hit my head on the ceiling. If I did that 8 days ago, that's quite recent.
And that's how you're getting out 3 albums in the space of about a year.
Yeah,
you ain't dilly-dallying about.
Yeah, but remember, to plug you, you've got InFacts events, haven't you?
Yes.
I remember telling you there that I don't know if you thought I was lying or not.
It's not that I thought you were lying. It's probably, I don't know if I registered it. Go on, we're running a whole event.
Yeah, I said I release me, not release, I just go. And that's, not to go into something else, but that's one of the reasons why it's hard to work with other artists. Because they're not on your time.
Oh, because you're probably waiting to hear back from them. You're thinking, I'm trying to put this out like ASAP.
Even in the studio. So sometimes my engineer would, when someone else comes in, he was like, this guy, look at me, said, this guy, you need to be, because he knows he knows I'm in the booth out. Do I need to do ad-libs? Yeah, let's go. Because I don't really play. You know what I mean? Because I've done all the thinking when I was writing it.
Okay.
So... And that doesn't affect the quality of the record. I think people might think it does. It doesn't. Because, like I said, you do all the thinking when you're writing it. When you're recording it and you're trying to be a super perfectionist about it. Plus, obviously, I've always had good diction. I've known how to... I don't punch in. I just go do the whole thing one take.
Well, yeah, because your style is very much relaxed. It's just very much like you're talking. It's not like you have to... Well, I can't imagine you go into recording. It's like you almost have to hype yourself up in any kind of way. It's very, very chill. Yeah, so when you're writing your music, where are you typically?
Okay, not to be a nitpick, but you mean just writing?
Yeah, when you're writing. Like, and are we talking about physical? Are we talking about in the phone?
So writing in my bedroom, on my phone, unfortunately.
Okay. That's where we are nowadays.
I want to write on a notepad. It seems cooler.
Why haven't you?
Oh, I know the reason for sure.
What?
So basically, the way I write is I might start off with the first line and say I want this to be the end line. And then I want this to be the 7th line. And then I want this to be the 16th line. So I can write sporadically and then link them together. If I'm on a notepad, I don't know which line to start. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
so if I use my phone, I'll just press enter. But on a notepad you can't do that.
Right.
So I don't write sort of chronologically. I do, but I say I want to start talking about this on the 16th line. You know what I mean? So that's how I write.
That's a really interesting way.
I'm sure other people do that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. So, okay, right. So you got 14 tracks on this album. Let's start with the intro.
Yeah.
Tell us about the intro. Because I always find intros... I personally am an intro person anyway. Because I appreciate a journey of an album. The intro is always kind of like... It is that thing of what do we pick to actually start this whole album?
Yeah.
So tell us about... Did you write the intro knowing it was going to be the intro?
Good question.
Or was it like, you're writing away and you're like, actually, now I've listened to this as a whole, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
So definitely the latter. So I've did all the tracks, looked at them and said, yeah, this is the intro.
Mm.
Should I talk about the intro?
Yeah.
So, it's just lines, obviously,
Yeah.
but I really like Muhammad Ali.
Mm.
I really like him. I don't like using the word idol a lot because I don't know what that means.
I feel you, but you admire.
But I admire him, yeah. So he's in the intro. He's a voice on the intro. And yeah, it just sets off the whole thing nicely. I think in terms of cadence, I'm trying to think of the right word. Cadence, yeah. The way I say things, the intro is probably the way I like the most. You know, why do I even bother? The things I see in horror, a half step when I can do it proper. We can do it all today, or we can leave it to tomorrow. But God can't promise us we're living longer. So
do you live by your lyrics?
You asked me that because of what I just said. I'm trying to think of what I said to.
You
so
literally, it sounded like what you're saying is tomorrow's not promised. So whatever we're saying we're gonna do, we have to do it right now.
Definitely not. No. But it's something that I aim. It's something that I aim towards.
Right.
It's an advice. It's a message. It's a message for the people.
Say your own advice.
It's true. And if I took my own advice, you know what I mean, it would be a lot better. But yeah. So I like that in terms of cadence and how it flows. I like the intro.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're kind of starting off with a statement, almost, and you're giving advice to people.
Yeah.
And then we go into the second one that I feel like just sticks out to me, the second track. Because, one of the lines is you say, my friend committed suicide.
Yeah.
So, and we've spoken about this already anyway, because I'm not going to do the mysterious. Tell us about, So, I mean, I took it very literally when I was listening.
Literally.
So tell us about it, because I mean, suicide is a very important topic. It's one, unfortunately, that does have a lot of taboo around it. So it's not spoken about enough, whether you are someone who is battling with those thoughts anyway, or whether you sadly are someone that's lost someone due to that. It is one of those, it's just hard to navigate. And it's not every day, I guess, you hear it in music either. So obviously, people can write about it in different ways, but not so obviously. So tell us about the second track.
Well, I think the production inspired it. So it's not like an idea I had before I had the production. I don't know what the female saying in the vocals, but she sings something. And I was in my car on the motorway and just sang the chorus. And obviously the chorus would then inspire the verse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think like you said, it's obvious. I think the lyrics speak for themselves. And yeah, I wouldn't say I'm scared to touch on topics like that. Because obviously, sadly, that's just life, isn't it? We could go deeper into it, but I probably wouldn't want to, because you know what I mean. Because of, but.
But I think as a second track, it sets the tone. It's almost like we're getting vulnerable. We're gonna talk about the topics.
So
I'm
glad you said that, because what I try to do, and not just the music thing, but probably a life thing, I try not to think about things too much. So I did actually go through the tracks and see which one should be one. And then looking through number 2, that track, I'm saying, why shouldn't I put that? I can do whatever I want. You know what I mean? I can literally do whatever I want.
Yeah.
The actual, if you listen to this, you'll know that the album's about nihilism. And that has a direct correlation with that.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't I? You know what I mean? I'm not going to overthink it and put it 15, so...
I know what you mean, yeah.
You know what I mean? Just go ahead, just put it number 2.
And actually, when we overthink things, we can overthink ourselves out of doing something.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that now.
And this is a prediction, I personally feel like you will get a lot of messages about that song.
Tell you what I have. One. It's come
It
out
only
today.
came out today, though. But this is what I'm saying. And you know why? It's because, and we don't have to go into full details and stuff, but sometimes, even when it's something's just brought up, it will trigger someone to maybe do something about whatever. Because maybe you haven't heard from a friend in a long time. Or maybe you're recontemplating, I don't know, something where you might have not had the best approach to something. So this might actually trigger people into, taking action or even reconsidering their approach.
But sometimes I'm worried music like that has the reverse effect.
Do you think? What do you mean?
Because it makes you wallow in that feeling. Because it's a sad song, it makes you wallow in that. You know what I mean? You listen to a happy song, you'll be happy. You listen to a sad song, you'll be sad. But I think as a listener, it sounds bad, but because a listener just wants to listen. But you have to do the due diligence to listen to what this person's saying.
100%. But I don't know if I agree with wallowing. Because sometimes it's comforting.
Okay,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a fair word to use, yeah.
So I think naturally sometimes when we are feeling certain emotions, we will listen to music to match our emotions sometimes. Even though music is a great tool to bring us out of a particular space or mood or emotion. But a lot of the times, you know, if you're feeling sad, you might want to listen to sad music. Or if you're feeling, I don't know, you're experiencing certain things, you want to kind of hear that in what you're listening. So I don't know if it would be necessarily wallowing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, perhaps wallowing was the wrong word. What I was going to say about the due diligence part is because the artists, because they're aware of that, they'll probably say something in that rap to say, hey, go and seek out this, go and do that. And I'm aware of that, I know. So that's what I'm saying. The listener kind of needs to listen to, because when I listen to songs like that, various songs, I'm always actually listening to what they're saying. And they might say, once upon a time it was like this for me, then I did this and this and this, and it was that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if it's a song like that, it can have a bit of advice, or it can have a bit of saying, hey, go and do this, or hey, this happened to me, don't do that.
Has there been a song recently that you've listened to that has actually changed a behaviour of yours or a perspective that you've had that you can literally say, rah, they've made me deep something a little bit differently?
Yeah, we spoke about it before.
No, I know. I remember you telling me about an artist that's made you approach your writing slightly differently.
No, like the Black Rose song.
Oh, we had a big talk about this one.
Yeah.
So it actually, so how did it change you? In what way did it change you moving forward?
Come on, the guy said, I know I'm rapping a lot here.
Come on, he just wants to rap to me.
The guy said, my daughter, she a princess. The world ain't slaughtering her skin yet. These Kanye's have not become important to the Kims yet. But when she gets older, there'll be brothers same colour as her papa who will not be showing any sort of interest.
You really listen to this song?
Yeah, like because I listen.
Yeah,
I listen to what they're actually saying. He's making a good point. Like people not appreciating people of their skin color.
So
that's what he's talking about.
The question I asked was, how did it change you? Whether it was, I don't know, your viewpoint on something, your behaviors, like what actually changed?
Well, it always makes me a bit more mellow. After listening to it. When I say mellow, it makes me think more. And when you think more, you speak less, naturally. Okay. So it's probably making you a bit more quiet. And that's the truth. Like you're not going to respond straight away if you'll just be a bit more mellow. Because you're actually thinking about something else.
But then like moving forward, because obviously like the track Black Rose is about black women and how black women are treated. So did that change anything for you in terms of moving forward, how you treat black women?
I've never had a problem in that department.
Is the seat hot now?
No, the seat's cool. It's got AC.
Yeah, go on.
I've never had any problem in that department. I treat every woman with all the ounce of respect she deserves.
I hope so.
Whatever colour she is. Whether she's white, yellow, blue. To tell you the truth, not to joke around the subject, but no, I think I was fine before that.
Okay.
But genuinely, the truth is hearing what he has to say about it and saying, oh, he's actually saying something, and I'm listening to what he's saying. In a way, as if it affects me, as in how it changes my life, and due to the subject matter of the song. Like I said, I never really had a problem with it. I'm not too like sort of argumentative in a way, especially as it relates to the opposite sex. You know what I mean? I'm not super argumentative. I mean, sort of a little bit more chill with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So listening to the album, the themes that stick out to me is grief, loss, vulnerability, as well. Tell us about those themes.
Which one do you want to start with?
You tell me. When you've sat down listening to it back for you, what do you think jumps out the most?
Well, when I listened to it the first time the other day in my earphones, I just thought this is the best thing I've ever heard.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that though.
No, I did. I liked it. Plus the setting was right for it.
Where were you?
I was in a dark room on my bed.
Is that how we should all listen to it then, in a dark room?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
I was in a dark room in my bed, just listened to it. But what you said, which I don't really want to touch on, but I will.
You don't have to.
But it was the vulnerability thing.
Yeah. Okay, this is interesting why you don't want to touch on the vulnerability.
Because it's the first thing that stuck out when you know when you mentioned all those words.
Yeah.
None of them didn't stick out to me as much as that.
With vulnerability,
yeah.
Okay, let's talk about vulnerability. As vulnerable as it is.
From not wanting to talk about it.
I know. Let's talk about vulnerability. Because personally, especially with age, I've grown to see the power in vulnerability. And
you think?
Absolutely. And that's actually where real connection's made. I personally believe. I feel like real connection is made between two people when there is vulnerability in the room.
I'm so sorry to cut you off, but do you think vulnerability is appreciated? And not just in a short term, but in a long term?
I think that's the case, but that's down to the person. I appreciate vulnerability. I think vulnerability and authenticity go hand in hand.
No, authenticity, I believe authenticity can
there
definitely
has to be a level of vulnerability.
But vulnerability is that's a different kettle of fish.
What is your view? What is vulnerability to you?
Vulnerability is far from authenticity for me. Authenticity is being yourself. And the truth is, you don't really know who you are. So...
For you.
Nah, I wouldn't.
For you.
Okay, I would say people don't really know who they are. And the prime example would be because you change due to what atmosphere you're in. You change due to who you're around. You change from when you're younger to when you're older.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you don't know who you are.
So the you's a constant change.
Yeah.
So at some point you can't say this is me, this is who I am.
You could say that was me.
That what?
And this is who I am now.
But even that point, people are changed. There's just so many changes going on. But vulnerability is just basically, for me, just basically exposing.
Oh, you see it as exposing.
It's an exposure of yourself, of a part of yourself or something about yourself. And I don't think that can be appreciated. It might be in a short term. But I don't think it's a, you know what I mean? I don't think so. What do you think about it? Because you're looking at me like...
No, I'm taking it in. Do you know what? So the word exposing to me is an interesting one, because then that would mean that there's something has had to be removed.
Can I think about that before you...
Okay.
Something has had to
when something is exposed, it normally means, light has been shone on something has been removed. That means it was covered before. And it sounds like then maybe that's the truth, So is vulnerability also, I guess, the truth of who we are?
Yeah, you could see it in that way.
And I think when you are someone who appreciates the truth, you can appreciate vulnerability. I think also, though, the word itself comes with a connotation that may be negative, because it might be seen as a weakness, and it's kind of seen as rawness and you're bare. Do you know what I mean? There's a lack of protection. But I think when I say I think it's powerful is when you own your vulnerabilities and you understand. And I think when you own your vulnerabilities, you can appreciate the vulnerability of someone else. Because at the end of the day, human life is vulnerable. Anything can happen to us at any moment of time. anything can happen. Like, we are vulnerable, but that doesn't mean that we're not powerful.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And that's how I see vulnerability. And I think when we forget that we're vulnerable, we try to run away from that. This is when all heaps of problems happen.
Yeah, I agree.
You agree?
With a majority of what you said, but I also, and not to delve into that, we could delve into it another time. But I also think you can be appreciated for being authentic. Lots of people are appreciated for being authentic, but I think as much as people will probably disagree because their own ego won't let them agree, I don't think people will appreciate someone for being vulnerable. Especially, I'm not saying in a specific situation, I'm vulnerable about that. But I'm saying if you as an individual are extremely bare, naked, vulnerable, you're not appreciated. I don't believe.
Our baby's vulnerable.
Yeah, but we're...
No, I'm just like, our baby's vulnerable.
Our babies are definitely vulnerable.
And do we appreciate children and babies?
100%.
So we can, so we do. So I think this sounds like maybe your experience of maybe where your vulnerability wasn't received in the best way. And that's fine, because a lot of what we believe is also based on our experiences and how we've been received and perceived in a way. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think you could blanket say that people just don't appreciate vulnerability. Because I think some of the best films, books, pieces of art, there's a level, there's the vulnerability in it that we connect to.
I did mean like a one-to-one human connection. I didn't. Obviously, you can appreciate vulnerability in a movie because it's not real.
But it comes from somewhere.
But okay, we'll go back to what you were saying before. Can I say one last thing?
Yeah.
I think when you mention books, and that's all fine and dandy because it's not real, and you're seeing it on a screen, and you have, as much as you think you can relate to this character, you really can't, because that's an image on a screen. But I'm talking about a one-to-one personal connection with someone. I don't think you can truly, but we'll move on. I agree with you though.
Okay. Before we do move on, and it will tie in actually to one of the tracks on that album.
Are you sure we're tying? You're just trying to get me?
I'm going to make it tie in. So you said authenticity and vulnerability, there's quite a space between them.
I do think so, yeah.
You also mentioned to me before when we were talking that you, and this is also the reason why you wanted to do this, is that you love watching interviews with people.
I do, yeah.
You do. Okay. So tell me about an interview that you watched that you thought was brilliant.
Brilliant. Off the top of my head, I couldn't. I couldn't come up with one.
Or tell me about someone that you think is really authentic and you admire that in them.
Well, Muhammad Ali.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And after his fights, I've actually extracted the audio. Am I allowed to extract We've extracted the audio from his fight after he beat Liston.
They're gonna come for you now.
We can edit it on the DSP. Okay. They like me.
Okay.
But the context behind it, you've got to understand it, and it's too drawn out to say it here. But here's a young man coming into a sport where there's a big, tough guy in front of him, and he knocks him down twice. So much so, the second time he knocks him down, he's thinking, how did I even... He's telling him to get up. As in, like, get up because you're faking it. Because obviously with boxing, the mafia were involved and fights could be fixed. But he knocked him down, and the guy got down. He said, get up. But after the fight, he's like, I'm the greatest, I'm the best, I'm the... And obviously the context with Muhammad Ali and why I appreciate his authenticity, I wouldn't say his vulnerability.
I can see in that setting.
Reading things about him that other people have said, there were vulnerable parts of his life that he's never exposed about himself. Especially because I like him, so I know I delve into it a bit more.
And I think, to be honest, I'm glad I asked that question, because you giving that as an example could allow me to better understand your view on vulnerability then. Because I don't know anything about boxing or whatever, and I've never been a boxer, but I can also imagine that in his case, revealing his vulnerabilities probably it's not gonna work in his advantage in that way. If he is going up against an opponent and you have a whole, I'm not saying that he created a character for himself, but he has this whole, like, he's Muhammad Ali, do you know? He's the epitome of strength and, like, resilience. So yeah, he might not sing from the rooftops his vulnerabilities in that sense. So I can understand why you might have that view on vulnerability. I was thinking of someone like Cleo Sol and how she writes and what she shares. And for me, her music. And when I speak about vulnerability, I'm not saying we're going around just completely just vulnerable all the time. It's just a part of ourselves.
But you see the limit you put on it. You said all the time, and I said that.
Yeah,
I said,
because
it's not gonna be a.
We are human beings that encompass so many different versions of ourselves, and that's the brilliance of being a human being.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off.
Go on.
But I was, even while you're speaking, I was thinking the most comfortable thing I could do now is let go of my socks, show my toes. You get me? Just everything.
Why would you do
just
that?
lay myself bare and just talk like this. But I know it's not gonna. Do you know what I mean? I think.
But I think
that's vulnerable though. My toes are out and I think not all the time. Sometimes you could. Don't get me wrong. You might catch me with
I
my.
don't care.
The truth is, I don't care. But you know. But I hear you.
Okay.
I hear you.
Yeah. Right. But okay, so let's bring it back to the album because it's vulnerable. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You also touch on loneliness as well, which is a vulnerable feeling.
It is, yeah.
So this is even more interesting. So you said you don't feel vulnerability, that people appreciate vulnerability. But yet this album feels very vulnerable.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the difference?
Because it's art.
Okay.
It's something that the people that are listening can't touch me. They can't come to my house and sit with me, and you know what I mean. So they can appreciate that level of vulnerability from a little bit afar,
From a distance. Okay.
from a distance. And don't get me wrong, I know it could get even more vulnerable. Like when I'm writing, like literally, I'm telling you, when I'm writing it down and I'm writing certain lines, I've told you this before. I'll speak in third person and not first person, or I'll reference something close to what I want to talk about and not mention what I really want to talk about. So it's not like super extremely it's still vulnerable because the message is still getting out there. Like there's tracks on there, not tracks. There is a track on there called Natalie Didn't Kill Herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's in reference to Natalie Wood.
Okay.
Which is like an actor. And sometimes when I'm watching things, I'm not in awe of people, definitely not. But I look at this thing and say, this is a human being with their own issues, their own problems. And hearing their story, like, they're saying she jumped in the water by herself.
What is her story? Because I don't know.
It's drawn out because this is why I want people to listen, because I talk about it the whole way through. So when she was younger, she's like an actor. You know how they used to treat actors in those golden ages and when they were young and you know what I mean? So that's how she came through. It's not common knowledge, but because I've done my research, I know these things.
I mean, it's more and more stuff's being exposed.
Yeah, so all these affluent sort of directors use you, even at that age. So that's how she came up. And then one of the films that I loved, which is probably one of my favorite films, called The West Side Story. And I said it in the rap. I said The West Side. I watched it, kept in my head, and locked it. So I said that. And in that film, she was the last scene. It's like gangs, two groups of people that don't like each other. It's a musical as well. Two groups of people that don't like each other, and at the end, she just goes on this big rant and she's why did you do this? Give me the gun, you know? And I just liked her throughout the whole movie. Because to me, she seemed vulnerable. But that's art. So there was a step that you could take back. But now you're going to a real life where she's been said to have hurt herself. And I know she didn't kill herself. So that's why I just wrote Natalie didn't kill herself. Because they said she threw herself in the water or got on a boat. And she said in interviews she doesn't even like water. You know what I mean? She hates being in water, anything to do with water. She hates it. That's common knowledge. And obviously there were two men involved, and you know what I mean? So I just wanted to talk about that when I seen it. Yeah. I don't know if I'm on the right track here. You asked me something.
No. Yeah, you are. Because actually, you reference films quite a lot. Well, a bit, because you also talk about Pretty Woman.
I love Pretty Woman. I love that. I love that.
Julia Roberts, yeah?
I love that film. Probably one of my favourite films.
Woman Crush Wednesday, Julia Roberts.
She was nice. She was nice. Especially because she was a prostitute in that film.
Mm-hmm.
And she was looking real good. Back then, they'll say darn good.
That is a clip and a half.
Nah, she was looking real good. Definitely. But that's not the reason why.
That's not the reason, no.
Don't get me wrong. And this is the intro. I'm not gonna rap to you again. I promise.
You just
But I
literally
said
brought
it
me
in.
into rap to
But
me.
I said it in the intro. Bad girls can turn good because she was a bad girl, but she turned good because the man said, "Oh, I like you. I want to make you," and then she just turned into a whole new woman. That makes me treat him right. And then I reference myself. I say, but as soon as you were dark, I couldn't see a light. So as soon as you were bad, I couldn't see your light. You didn't turn into that woman Julia Roberts became. I couldn't see a light because I thought all women keep it tight, right?
You're rapping to me again.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So yeah, and I referenced that as well. Okay. And I referenced one of my favorite tracks I've ever made is on the first project. It's called Terry on Letterman. Again, she's Terry Garr. So done loads of films. She's a comedian as well. But she got multiple sclerosis. So I remember watching, literally, do you know David Letterman?
Yeah.
Literally, there's I don't want to sound like I'm lying. I hope it's true, but there's like 10 hours of footage of her, if not more, on David Letterman. So she went back time and time again. But the first time she went back, this woman was fit, healthy, stood upright. And I remember watching her last time and I just felt sad because of the multiple sclerosis has just made her
over time.
Yeah, and it was just sad to me. And I just wanted to write about it because even the last one, she was still trying to be as bubbly as she could be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just wears the life. So I just wrote a track called Terry on Letterman. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I like referencing things like that. Yeah.
Clearly. I want to just go back to when you were talking about Julia Roberts, well, her character in Pretty Woman, and you used the language bad and good. This is not the first time when we had our very lengthy conversation before. Do you think there's such thing as a good person and a bad person, or do you just think people do good and bad things?
Well, I believe that's totally complex. Is what you assign that to. If you're religious, you're definitely gonna think there's good and bad things. If you're not,
but I'm talking about people.
Good or bad people.
There's good people.
Yeah.
And there's bad people.
Yeah, if you're religious, you'll definitely think there's good because.
Are you religious?
Because your morality is tied to that religion.
Because I asked
that
you.
Religious.
What's your personal belief in terms of like, are there such thing? And I'm genuinely just asking a question.
Okay.
Like, do you believe there are good people and bad people, or do you believe people can do good or bad things, or is it a mixture?
I think I'll answer that question in two ways. I think in actuality, for me, it's my belief. Well, it is my belief, isn't it? In actuality, there's not good or bad people.
Okay.
For me, there's definitely good or bad people.
Right. Is that through your lens?
Through my lens, there's obviously good or bad people, but I think in actuality, because of what the world's become, and this is not good, this is bad, we've made these things to, do you know what I mean? Whereas probably 2 million years ago, it might have been the reverse. People say, oh, you're good for that, for doing that. You know what I mean? So I think in actuality, these things are just concepts of the human mind that people have brought up, the laws and whatnot.
Yeah.
But for me, of course, I can call out if someone's a good or bad person. As a whole, it'll probably be a bit harder. But if someone consistently does bad actions, then obviously they can be deemed to be a bad person. Because, for example, if every time you see someone, they're angry, you're probably going to say, oh, he's a bit angry, isn't he? He's an angry person.
Does that make them a bad person if they're angry?
Oh, no. I'm just using an example.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just going to push it a bit further.
Oh.
So, do you think someone could do a quote-unquote bad thing for good reason?
A bad thing for a good reason?
That sounds like a new album title. But anyway, do you think someone could do something like a bad thing for good reason?
Yeah.
And do you think someone could do a quote unquote good thing for a bad reason?
A good thing. I don't. That one's a little bit hard for me to decipher.
When I think of that, I think of like trying to manipulate someone. So I could do a nice thing for you, but my intention might be because I've got a different motive here. So I want you to view me in a certain light.
Yeah.
Because really, my intention isn't as pure.
Well, if the end result is good, then regardless of your intention, the end result was good. Right?
Okay, so let's just say I lend you money, yeah? Because I know later down the line I want to use it against you. Is that a good or bad thing that I've done?
At that point, it was a good thing, yeah. Particularly if I needed it. Well, obviously, if you're in 2 weeks when you say double that and give me that, it's going to be bad. But at that point, it was a good thing.
So yeah, I just wanted to I guess, flesh out this language of, because it's very binary. It's very like, that's good, that's bad.
Yeah.
And I think in life, it's contextual. Do you know what I mean?
It's
Everything is contextual.
It's true. I think it wouldn't be the case if, because you got to remember, it's a rap, isn't it? So unless you're doing a Kendrick Lamar 10, 12-minute record and you're fleshing out everything, you're going to have to be a little bit binary of what you're saying. Do you know what I mean?
It's how people interpret it.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'll probably appreciate myself more if I fleshed things out and did a 10-minute record. I'd appreciate that a lot because it's like, oh, I'm talking.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
10 minutes.
I'm talking about the good side and the bad side and how these, and you know what I mean? Yeah.
Let's talk about Typical Black Boy.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the tracks you released before the album dropped. It's had quite a response.
Yeah, good enough, yeah.
Let's actually talk about it, because even the title alone, and I remember when I was listening to the album and I obviously was just letting it play, that was one of the tracks I stopped and I was like, oh, well, let me see what this one's called. And then I found it really interesting that it was called Typical Black Boy. Yeah, we've touched on this before, but yeah, talk about Typical Black Boy.
I wouldn't like to touch on it too much, if I'm being honest. Just slightly.
I'll just give it slightly. Okay.
I'll give it a dab.
Right. Well, okay. Yeah.
It's just thinking of my experience as it relates to other people of my color. You know what I mean? And thinking I've got some sort of a mutual thing together. Like, you probably know what I'm talking about, don't you? Do you know what I mean? This is obviously me not wanting to get too deep into it, but because you can listen, you know what I mean, and buy the actual thing.
Oh, yeah, you know what I mean? You've been rapping half.
Because I'm sure you bought it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I pay my.
Cool. Yeah. 1 penny goes to me probably.
Listen. It's not about that.
It's not about that, but yeah. It's not something I hugely want to delve into because, for me, that's a bit vulnerable. To be honest. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what is, because I think all of the tracks are quite vulnerable, but what is your favorite track on there? What is one that you would love to discuss further?
Just Enough, the interlude, where I just like the way it sounds.
Why?
Because it's got Muhammad Ali in the background, and it's just the vocal and the instruments are interesting. You know what I mean? I like that. And the Natalie Didn't Kill Herself one, which we've talked about.
Yeah.
And I think rapping-wise, I think I do the best on My Mind Is a Deeper Zone, that track. But yeah, we can delve more into Typical Black Boy if you want. I'm more than happy to. Well, I just think
when I was like scoping on your socials, I saw that had there was quite a bit of engagement on that. People were taking it in. I also just think as well, just the title alone opens up a lot of discussion. Like,
it does, yeah.
What is a typical black boy?
Yeah.
And typical to who?
Who knows, yeah.
Because, and I mean, we kind of touched on this as well when we were like talking before in terms of being a product of your environment sometimes and whatever. So Yeah, I mean, what is your idea of? I mean, I don't even know if that's the right question to ask.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
what is
trying to
your
get me
idea of a
into.
typical black boy? But
What?
do you know what I think of as well? And it's timely because I think Bashi's just brought out new music as
He
well.
did, yeah, I
One
like
of his like
Bashi.
most successful songs was Black Boys.
Yep.
Literally talking about, I guess, humanizing black boys,
Yep.
contextualizing the reasons why, you know, like there's certain lifestyles and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And even the fact that like listening to it now, it still has a lot of relevance to a lot
Oh,
of
for
things
sure.
anyway.
I think it will always have
Do you know what I
relevance,
mean?
Yeah.
So, without asking the question to you, what do you like a typical black boy? I mean, okay, this is the question. How has your blackness impacted your experiences, do you feel?
Oh.
Especially here in, let's talk about it here in the UK.
Oh, no, that's too much.
It's a big question. We need a whole hour for that.
No, more than an hour.
We need a long time.
You know I can talk as well. You know I can
All
talk.
right, okay. So
we could be here for
all right,
years.
let's bring this to the album, right?
Yeah.
So even you said, you know, the whole essence of it is really like, what's the point? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
How do we bring that into the context of your actual life? Is it because maybe what's the point? Because we're living amongst things that almost feel so beyond our control to even change? Or is it even almost like it's not for us to change? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think people sometimes, and I said this like a couple of minutes ago because I'm losing track of time here.
Don't worry, I've got time here.
Yeah, I think I probably said it 20 minutes ago, but I think sometimes people think things that they're not aware of, and I do think a lot of people are nihilistic, genuinely. And you spoke about it before when you were speaking off the camera. You said people do something, and I thought about it, because I said I'm a listener. I told you I'm a listener.
We had a long conversation.
Yeah, people do damage. What's the thing? They damage themselves.
Oh, you mean self-sabotage?
They self-sabotage. Yeah. They do things that they know it's not good for them, but they'll do it anyway. But I always think in a way, that's like suicidal ideation, kind of. Do you know what I mean?
So it can be seen as a form of self-harm.
It can be seen like that. Yeah, exactly. So I think a lot of us do things that we know isn't right, but we're gonna go and do it anyway. Even things that harm us, all of us do it. And I guess, like I said, I don't want to talk about myself in a way. I'll just reference it a bit in a broader scope. But I think, people do these things to themselves, and I believe, this is my belief, that a lot of us are more nihilistic than we think, because we know our nihilism will soon turn out to be true anyway. It's not like something that we think is not. We're going to live to be infinity. You know what I mean? So, what was your question, sorry?
How, like, bringing it, so the title, Typical Black Boy, and then just, I guess, bringing the aspect of you being a black man, and how that relates to the theme of this project, with the title being about, the essence of it is nihilism in that sense.
Yeah.
Is that, do you also think that's a protective aspect as well? To sometimes, I guess, not care about certain things because maybe you care too much and it's a protective thing?
I said for sure when you said...
Well, protective to not care, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let me stop there. I didn't say that.
I do think there's definitely some things that you just don't care about, for sure. I don't play lacrosse. I don't care about lacrosse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's things that I do care about. And sometimes you think, you know what, let's just, you know what I mean?
And what is that?
Let's call it a day. Let's call it a day.
Why do you want to call it a day on things that you care about?
Because there's a lot of external factors that keep changing. There's no constants. So with certain things, and this is a recent thought as well, with certain things, like whether it be business, whether it be making music, even getting an album out, there's other people you have to rely on. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's people like that, but I'm not sure I know people that will mix their own records, master their own records, record their own records, make the artwork by themselves, you know what I mean? There's too many things to do. So you have to rely on other people and hope and pray that they haven't got other things going on and they won't mess up your plans in order to do this. So in that sense, it just makes you just want to get what you need to and just get out of here. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like you're in a room full of lots of people and you're just standing still and everyone's dancing. That's literally the image that came into my head.
Meme. You not see that meme when that guy stood by the door?
No, you watch too much TikTok.
It's actually just a picture, but I do watch too much TikTok.
How were they dancing if it was just a picture?
No, it's obviously just like people.
What if it was...
The guy's by the door and then it's a thought like nobody knows, whatever. But it's giving that just kind of like you're looking around at everyone like.
But it's not really looking. It is looking around, but it's just that just everything's going on. You just want to.
And so to go back to the question, this answer the question.
I felt like I answered it.
Okay.
I answered it in a way. I just because I don't really want to talk about the typical Black Boy record.
Which is so interesting. Yes.
But I'm talking about that album title and what it means. It's more like there's so many constant changes. You're nihilistic because you're just one out of everyone, and you just want to do the job and just get back home.
Complete the mission.
Yeah, just complete the mission and get back home, and because of that, there's not really much fun in your life. You know what I mean? There's not really. You don't really have much to. That's where the loneliness comes in.
I hear that. Okay.
And this is not, by the way, I just want to make. This is not just me talking. I'm actually being. I actually mean what I'm saying. It's like, because of all of that, you get things like loneliness because you don't go out much, but you just focus. That's why the studio is a very nice place to be, because it's just you and someone you know. Yeah. You're just there. If there's a million people in there, it doesn't even feel like you're working. It just feels like, you know what I mean?
Did you say you're an introvert?
People say that, but I'm always shy to use the words because I think you can cross over.
Yeah, there's an ambivert. An ambivert is in between.
No,
What is it? You know, I've said this to a few people, and they're just kind of, I don't like all this language. Is it the language?
Yeah, you know what? The way people use words nowadays is just totally wrong. I think so, yeah. And when I say people, I mean the rapper. I mean people like in general, like, oh, I'm an introvert. Oh, but you go everywhere every single day. I see you're outside. Yeah, but an introvert can still be outside. When I was younger, I don't think so. I think people just find things cool, so they just say it.
And like, it's a trend now.
I remember when I was young, there was a girl in my class. She didn't talk. Like, she just didn't talk. Imagine you going to her telling her you're an introvert. She would be like, what?
Yeah, but there's like...
No, I just think people just overdo things for the cool factor. I think some things genuinely aren't cool. If you ask her why she's quiet, she's going to tell, I've been going through this. So just don't... I'm afraid of using words. When I was younger, I used to think I was bipolar.
Right, okay.
And I really met bipolar people. So I'm definitely not bipolar.
But don't you think
I just get mood swings, and sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm definitely not bipolar, because I just feel like it's disrespectful to people who actually going through it, because it's not cool. It's definitely not cool. But do you not
think that's us, especially as young people, or when we're younger, exploring, we're trying to better understand ourselves, and I think sometimes when you're equipped with the right language that can at least point you in the direction to understand more, because I hear it. In one sense, I get it. We're in a day and age now where everyone's kind of self-diagnosing themselves with X, Y, and Z. Yeah. However, I also think it's in direct correlation to the fact that there is more knowledge out there. There is more access to this. Yeah. Because I was in school with people that definitely were neurodivergent, definitely were had mental mental health issues or whatever, but we just didn't understand it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And we got to understand that it displays in different people differently.
Yeah, but your time you're still young. You're probably about 23.
Yeah, I was just thinking of it. I'm 23.
You're 23. The maximum I will go for you, 26.
Absolutely, yeah. That's why I said channel you.
But when you were younger, those people were probably going through that. But do you see the difference is they weren't being exposed to all of this. Sometimes when you're exposed to things, it makes you fall deeper into that. Oh, it's like, oh, I'm this. Okay, I'm this.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
let
You
me
can
start.
get too attached.
Yeah, let me start
to
just
that.
doing everything that's to do with this, even though that was really definitely not you. Like, what I can think about is think of someone that's an emo that dresses in dark colors and dresses in. Do you know what I mean? When they go out and they see other people that have got this on and this on, they'll just add more items to their body because now they're just influenced to these things. So when you when someone tells you something that you are, sometimes you'll just fall deeper into that thing. It's only people can't make a conscious effort. I don't bear in mind I don't want to make it seem like I'm not one of those people. I definitely am, but I'm just thinking about the thoughts that people have. People aren't really conscious of how much influence they're getting. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I'm not immune to it, so I don't want to sound like I'm like I know everything. You know what I mean?
I like well, I've noticed your use of when you say people this, people that, people this. Have you met every person on this earth? Have you met every person? Do you think
Definitely not, no.
Do you think, okay, we will get back to the album, but do you think, how do I want to word this? Because I'm thinking more of culture, because culture is also like behaviours that we all share, and it could also be views that we all share as well, and values and whatever. So when you say this, is this from your like cultural view of people, maybe?
Probably, yeah. It's probably a bias, yeah. There's definitely a bias there. I've come from somewhere. I didn't land on my head from the sky, so there's definitely a bias there, yeah. But obviously, a lot of things you say is going to be a generalization, but there's truth to generalizations. There's truth to stereotypes. It's just...
And then this is why you talk about typical black boy.
Which you're trying to get back to.
You said that there's truth to stereotypes, because this screams typical, almost you could say stereotypical. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a stereotype.
Yeah. And stereotypes got truth, so... And bear in mind the direction I went with that track.
Yeah, you kind of...
Yeah, I veered to the left because I don't want to get too...
But could that also be part of being a typical
It is, but
black boy?
I think being someone that writes, if you write... It just is what it is. You just got to follow. And I'm not saying like I'm a genius or I'm a Shakespeare. I'm just saying, cool, if we're going to veer off here because you don't want to talk about it, cool. You know, you said a bit of what you need to say. You know, I don't want to rap to you again.
No, go on. Because actually you said, and I said this to you anyway.
I apologize. My emotions got the better of me this time. And though it's been a while, I'm sorry because I should have spoke more. You know, I don't want to carry on, but you know.
Yeah, but there was a part of that song that
I remember I started with I.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't just want to keep going and going and going. You just want
to. But you mentioned in that song as well that if you had something beautiful, along these lines, if you had something beautiful, it'd turn into a mess. But, well, I guess in a mess, you can find the beauty in it. Do you know what I mean?
But when it's ugly, you can make it turn beautiful. Yeah.
And that's part of this typical black boy. That's part of the song.
Yeah. Right? So what do you think I meant by that?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if we're bringing in, I guess, maybe it's not just about you because it's a generalization, but because we can even delve into that, and we've already talked about this, self-sabotaging. Yeah. And that could be a form of self-sabotage. I remember I was saying to you in our previous conversation,
when you held me hostage in a cafe.
I didn't hold you hostage.
I held you hostage.
Yeah, you did. I had to end the convo. I said, right, this is getting too existential.
This is too long.
But I guess if you have lived a life of a lot of chaos, trauma, all of that, you can become very accustomed to that. Almost that's you find your balance there. But when things are too calm and maybe life's going quote unquote all right for you, and there aren't issues that you have to respond to, for someone that is so used to chaos, trauma, tragedy, all of that, I could see why in that lyric you could go, and I could have something really beautiful and mess it up. Because it's like, one, do I feel like I deserve this? Or two, I don't even know how to maneuver in this. Because also, if your body's constantly in fight or flight, which when you're dealing with trauma a lot of the time, your body is in a constant fight or flight.
Can I ask you a question? Yeah. Unless you're carrying on.
No, go on.
While I said that, I forgot what I was saying. What did you say?
I said your body being
what's
in
the word?
constant fight or flight.
There we go, trauma. Do you think everybody goes through trauma? Everybody.
It depends. Okay, right. So let's.
It's kind of a yes or no question. Huh? Yes.
I think everybody can experience trauma.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I just question. I'm not trying to.
What's the point?
No, because I was thinking when you were saying that, it's
Yeah.
like you're directing it to certain things. I thought, do you think everyone goes through it, or do you just think it's?
I think we're human beings. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like trauma can impact us in different ways.
Okay.
Because there are some people that have experienced trauma and they've managed to cope with it fine in a way. Like because if we're saying trauma therapy, do you know what I mean? Like, does everybody need to go to therapy because maybe the trauma that they've experienced? Not necessarily.
All the therapists that would have listened to this as soon as they said
no.
don't.
I've had a conversation with a therapist.
Okay.
I've had and I'm actually saying this.
Okay.
So
So
speaking
this
of
is...
Infacts, if you want to listen to another podcast, Infacts Chats, we
Yeah.
have a podcast and we speak with a wonderful woman called Paris Le Love. Or
Why
Paris
have I never
Capleton.
come on that podcast?
Well, we paused it now. But yeah, we spoke about therapy and she even says, like, therapy is like for you if you are in the right space. Do you know what I mean? And it's normally because maybe the coping mechanisms that you've built for yourself from maybe dealing with traumatic experiences are having a negative impact on your life. She doesn't, for instance, think everybody needs therapy. Sometimes you might need some direction in life, and that might be more like you need a life coach or someone to hold you accountable for certain things. But I think, because I've been one to say everyone needs therapy, but
You don't think so?
not everyone's gonna receive it. Do you know what I mean? You have to be in that space. Do you know what I'm saying?
However, when you said that the first time initially, I thought, well, surely someone that goes to therapy wouldn't be in the right space. That's what I thought.
But this is also another misconception that you
Okay.
have to be in the middle of a crisis to go to therapy. No, there's people that go to therapy. I've been to therapy, and you're talking about things that have happened years ago. Do you know what I mean? Because, a lot of us do experience trauma. And we learn to live with it. And especially when you're in survival mode, you don't have time to stop and think about it. So you just keep going and then you do things that help you cope. Sometimes those are productive things. Sometimes they're not so productive.
Yeah.
And then years down the line, it's like, okay, that person might finally get to the point where they're like, this is not working for me. It's not helping me. Let me go and talk about it.
Yeah, I understand that clearly, yeah.
So, I don't know how we got on this topic.
Yeah.
But, that's enough about typical black boy. Let's talk about the features that you have on here. So you don't have that many other artists.
Nah.
I think you just have 2 or 3.
3.
3.
3, yeah.
Now, for someone that's even said right at the beginning of this chat that the way you work anyway.
They were amazing, okay?
I'm not coming to get the tea.
No, they were amazing.
Yeah. So who are they? Are they like friends? Or have you just met them through the music space? Like,
Met all of them through the music space.
why were you doing that language? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I met all of them through...
And why did you want to work with them?
Because they're very good. They're very good artists. I think... the guys on here, the two men on the project, they're really good. They're free spirits. One's got exceptionally good at sort of very skippy flow kind of there. They just rap different. Whereas I'd approach a rap in a different way. They'd approach it in just like a wavy way. And I found that very cool because I can't do that. Another one's just like a free spirit. He just raps whatever. It's like a stream of consciousness. Okay. I know I use that phrase a lot, but it's like Ghostface Killer does that a lot. So what's on his mind, he'll just come out with it. It's quite poetic, I think, in my opinion. And the girl's a very good singer. I've known her from when she was young. I think she does some singing for Ray. She's part of Ray's choir, so she's really good. Very exceptional singer. And I think, if you want more info on them, just go on my album play all the tracks.
Buy it.
Okay, first, let me give them some steps. Buy the album without even playing it first, just for support.
Yeah.
For a typical black boy.
Oh, so now we want to talk about it.
You see how I link that? You see how I link that though?
Yeah, okay.
So for a typical black boy, buy the album, play it, search up their names, go on Instagram, follow them, follow me, and you're done. It's a done deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quite a few steps there.
Few steps.
Can't even just say their name on the pod.
Shanae Malia.
Okay.
Funny in italics.
That's such an interesting name.
Great name.
I love it.
Great name. He's the one that is a free spirit, a stream of consciousness. He just talks, very poetic, and Romeo Try, very, very wavy. I told him in the studio, he reminds me of, I don't listen to much, but Lil Baby and Gunna.
Okay.
But he's doing that on conscious tracks and just very, very good. But I only work with the best.
Truly, that's why I'm here.
So that's why you're here.
I don't know what was.
No, I had to think about that.
Yeah, we're working.
I thought you said one of the best because you're the best. I just thought you said one of the best.
No, you said you only work with the best. And I
said,
that's why I'm
definitely. Here. But there was more than one of them, right? So they caught. We're getting into a whole thing.
Okay,
But yeah, you are the best.
Yeah.
I only work with the best.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Just before, right, I'm gonna leave typical black boy alone. Hang on, but just one more question.
Can I tell you something? Just one thing though.
Yeah.
30 minutes ago, you said, I know you don't want to touch on typical black boy.
I'm respecting your boundaries, but I'm just going around them.
Okay, fair enough.
So, what's an untypical black boy?
Pardon?
What's an untypical? Like an alternative black boy.
Alternative. Again, we'd have to delve deeper into that because a typical black boy there's probably a lot of thoughts that come into people's head, like a cultural thing and how people dress, how people talk, what people say. But obviously that's a lie.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people you can be similar to someone, regardless of what color they are. It's probably someone in India right now that's probably like me. You know what I mean? There's just people, we've got similarities. So I think in the question that you asked, an untypical black boy would obviously be someone that didn't have my upbringing for me. Anyway.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because also I just think about the world and like we are very much living in London. It has a culture to it, whatever.
Yeah.
For instance, if I grew up, I don't know, in the Caribbean, I would be different. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. You'll still be as pretty as you are now.
Oh, wow, we got the bars. Thank you.
No, you still be.
Well, yeah, I can't change the genes.
So that one you can...
I can't change that. You have a word with God. Anyway, what do you think is something that would be consistent about you if you grew up in another part of the world?
It's a very good question. Where did you get that question from?
Listen, this is a gift.
It's a good question.
Thank you.
Something that would be consistent about me would probably just be my relaxed manner, I guess. My relaxed manner. Like I said, I try not to overthink things too much. I think that would probably be a constant. And
that's your approach to your delivery on music as well. It's very relaxed.
Yeah. It's weird because I hate that there's some truth to this statement, but unfortunately there is. Things that a lot of people say sometimes end up to be something that's true. When I was younger, I would think I'm going, and the thing will come out and say, that is so relaxed. It's like, Reuben, you're not trying, I'm saying I tried my hardest to.
So you're just so
chill. Yeah, but you're talking about the voice, right, on the songs. And I'd literally, because I've heard it before, I'd go with an intention to try and deliver this as macho as I can.
And it's just...
And they come out and they say, oh, this is relaxed. I like your relaxed style. I'm thinking maybe it's just me.
No, but yeah, there's definitely that consistency with your music. From like other pieces of music that I've heard of yours, you're like your voice is an instrument. Have you always had quite a husky voice? And
again, people tell me, am I Barry White? Like I'm Barry White.
Don't push it. Barry White.
Barry White.
Okay, right.
He was a gangster though. He was.
But has your voice always? Have you always had a voice like this?
So when I was in school, right, I was in a choir. Yeah, I was in a choir. I'm quite a good singer.
Well, we heard a little bit.
They made us do the background and yeah, they made us do the background and stuff. And it's weird because, not to touch on something that you haven't asked, but in year 6 we did a talent show singing Price Tag, Jessie J, B.O.B. You know that song? It's not about the money.
Wow, the age gap is real. You were in year 6 when that song came.
I was in year 6. And I remember doing a talent show, they said, what song would you like to perform? I said, Eminem, Not Afraid. If you know that song, the verse.
I'm not afraid.
But the verse, he raps like he's on 1.5 speed, 2 speed. Wow. And I thought I could do that. They said, no, Reuben. You're doing Price Tag. With Jessie J, B.O.B. So they put me with another girl that was younger. Very good. So that's one. Second, when I went into school, obviously they picked the talented musicians in secondary school. So we had me and a few other talented people in music in my school. We had our own music classes, private ones. So we would perform yearly, do things like that. And every year we had a new song. Could sometimes singing, sometimes rapping. To be fair, we had a singer much better than me. So I was rapping. But yeah, I've always done singing. I've always sang. But my voice, is weird that you say that because everyone says that. But it's weird because, like I said, I don't want any truth to be in that statement. But unfortunately, everyone keeps saying it. They say, oh, your voice is different. And the first time I heard it, I remember I was 16. It's the first recorded track called Roses for Her. It's a girl track because back then, if you talk about girls, the whole school was, oh.
Yeah, okay.
So I was conscious of that. And someone came up to me and said, oh, I just like the way you said it. And like the words. And I was like thinking, you're not even going to talk about the punchlines or... Because like I said, back then it was... And I thought that's just a weird thing to say. Like to say you like the way I said it. Because I've never listened to a rap and said, I like the way I say I like the rap, what he said. And that's the first time I heard it. And then ever since then, I just heard it constantly.
And this is something else that we've spoken about when you were holding me hostage that time to talk about if God is real or not. We won't talk about that.
We're going to go there.
I said that to you though. I said even the way I listen to music, like the delivery, the tone of voice, all of that, I take that into consideration. If anything, that sticks out the most to me. But I really listen to voices. So
what do you think of my voice?
No, it's a good voice. It is, like, it's a voice I'd listen to. And we're not going to get into the example that I gave before because we're not going to have that whole conversation.
I forgot what you talking. Can you remind me? No, I did forget. Can you remind me, please?
No, I'm not having anybody come for me because they're an amazing rapper. Just some aspects of how they deliver, it's just not personally for me. But yeah, okay. So yeah, you just have a natural huskiness.
Yeah. Do you think he's husky though?
I think so.
I don't like that.
There are some people really smoking 10,000 fags a day just to have a husky voice. So
I don't smoke.
You don't?
No, at all. No, I don't smoke. When you're fire already, it doesn't. You know what I mean?
There we go. Okay. So when people listen to this album, when they buy it and they listen to it, what is the main thing that you want them to take away from this, or like what feeling do you want to give them?
Okay, so the first question, what's the main thing that I want them to take, is this guy is a very good rapper.
Okay.
The second question that you asked was
what is the feeling that you want them to have?
Nostalgic, one.
Okay.
And just thoughtful, like, because when you're thoughtful about something, it sticks with you. You're like, what did he say? That Natalie song? Let me go and research what.
It's true though.
Yeah, like I want them to Muhammad Ali. Let me go and see that fight with. I've watched the fight with him and Foreman so many times I couldn't even count. So I'd hope the person that's listening to it does the same thing. Just goes, sees the references, and goes to check them out, you know.
And how would you describe, if we're gonna use like words you've used, a typical fan of yours? Who's a typical fan of reubencmg's?
So a typical fan would, I think, it's probably be someone that thinks a lot. You know? Oh. Yeah, probably someone that thinks a lot and because like I said, I'm not famous by no stretch of the imagination. But I told you before, when you're doing music, even if you got 3 fans, you see what these fans get up to because they're commenting on your stuff. So I see it. These fans like music, but they like rap. They like conscious stuff, thinking. Because I think there's 2 sides. I always think people misunderstand what conscious means. I think you can be a street rapper and be extremely conscious. You can talk things that people will quote, doesn't make any sense, but extremely conscious. I'll give you an example. Like, for you to be conscious, I just think you need to be aware of what you're talking about.
100.
And
I agree.
Talk about it in such a way that it references other stuff. So like Nas, it's like the Illmatic. I know everyone talks about it, but if you listen, he's talking about the streets, but he's also talking about the positives, the negatives, what happened there, his friend there that hurt himself, what he thought. You know, whereas the other side is the rap where it's, I did this, I'm the best.
It's a more egotistical.
I don't want to hear that. It's just ego.
Yeah.
Because it's weird. The same situation could be talked about in 2 ways or more than one way.
Very true.
Like, let's say someone talking about them doing something to someone. I did this thing to someone and it hurt them, the end. The other side is, I did this thing to someone. It made me feel like this. My mum told me this. This is what happened the day I left. This is what happened the day after. This is the consequences I received from it. And it's weird because even the feeling that the first example would feel like the first person, they could feel victorious. You could still talk about it in the second example. You could still say, and I felt victorious. Just mention all those other things. And I think that's the difference. So I think when people hear conscious, they just think of like talking about, I don't know, the 1960s.
But do you think, again, it is that idea of just, again, people getting attached too much of the word? Do you know what I mean?
No,
so
I think
we're too attached to. Well, conscious music has this connotation now that it's like you got to be rapping about the earth and whatever. When actually, I think it is more consciously aware of one, what you're saying, but also the impact it's gonna have. Because I think on the flip side, because if we're saying one thing's conscious music, then I guess the other is unconscious music.
Unconscious, and I wouldn't even know what that means.
Well, what unconscious? When you do something unconsciously,
you're not thinking
it's like
about
habit.
it.
It's just
you're just not thinking about it. And I just think for a rapper, why would you not do that? Why would you not want to think about what you're writing?
I've always kind of thought to myself, like, if we're calling this conscious music, does that mean what? This subconscious music?
But I definitely know a lot of unconscious music.
Oh, 100.
A lot of unconscious music, and I think, why you? This is not. You're not an artist. You shouldn't call yourself an artist. And I know it sounds harsh, but it's true. You're doing this for another reason. Maybe to get women. I don't know what it is. But other people are actually taking the art a little bit more seriously. Do you know what I mean?
But I guess it is about the intention. If it is just to make money, then they are taking it seriously. If they're like, this is how you make money, you need to make what's popular. This is what is popular.
But even the popular stuff still got there's a process behind it. There's still a huge level of thought. I'm talking about the things where people just rap. They just wanna get on the mic and say something. And it's like if like I have the ability, I can freestyle something. If I freestyle, there's nothing behind what I'm saying. Well, not now, unless I close my eyes and I really try to freestyle.
Okay.
But if I was doing,
I see this.
Yeah, like I was in the studio and we're talking about, I see a camera and then I rhyme it with spatula. And, you know what I mean?
Or oven and off and on.
Nah, that doesn't work. You're starting to like that bar.
I'm amazed that I remember it.
No, off and on. I remember that line.
I tie everything in together.
Off and on, of and on. And I thought off.
If you ever have to explain it, it's dead. It's dead. It's dead. But okay, so you'd consider yourself a conscious rapper?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you say you live consciously?
Can you explain further, please?
Well, okay. I guess when people are practicing presence and mindfulness and all that, a big part of that is being very conscious of like your actions and how you speak to people, and conscious of the impact and effect that you have on this, and conscious of other people's impact and effect on you. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
but whereas there's quite a few people, or definitely people that walk around unconsciously, that probably can't even remember their commute to work because it's just autopilot.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I think it's a yes and a no, because obviously sometimes you do, and I'd move unconsciously a lot more than I do consciously. So I was going to give the example of sometimes when I'm driving and I'm seeing people on their phone, but I know there's probably a time someone's driven and saw me like that.
Let's hope to God that guy never find out. What's his name? You're not on TikTok. There's a guy who has a whole account that goes around with he's got a camera on his helmet. He's on a bike.
I've seen him.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah.
And then if he catches you on the phone, you're in that court.
Has he caught you before? You're sounding.
I don't drive.
Oh.
So I'm cool, but I might join him.
He's caught one of your friends before. You're sounding like you don't like the guy.
I might join him because it actually really annoys me when I see people on their phones. I think, have you really got to that point now where you can't wait?
But I'm saying I do that. But I'm saying you won't catch yourself when you're doing that. Because if I caught myself, it's like, what the hell am I doing? Are you a fool? I'm seeing a woman going across the road. Like, just focus on the road. But I know, so that's the thing. I'm saying if I catch myself, always I'll try to act and be sensible. But sometimes...
But even that acting alone is conscious. Do you know what I mean? Some people don't have that aspect where they're going to notice
I'm sure in periods they do. Like when they're speaking to someone or... I can't say this. In their head they're thinking. I'm sure in periods they do. But perhaps you're right. Outside of certain situations, yeah.
So your answer is still like in some aspects.
Yes and no, yeah, for sure, yeah.
So when do you feel most? I'm going to change the word from conscious to present. When do you feel most present? So you really stared at me like that. Like when do you feel the most? Yeah, present. Like what are you doing?
I was gonna make a bar there. It sounded so good. Present when I'm rapping present.
Oh, no, I'll give you that one. You didn't have to explain it.
But it's when I'm writing because I'm thinking about what I'm doing. Yeah. It has to be because you're actually thinking about what you're saying. Not trying to just put words together for the sake of it. That's why I said Mike Skinner I like, because he's not putting words together for the sake of it. I always thought you could be a bit more free when you don't have to force the rhyme.
Yeah,
like an
very
end
true.
rhyme. I really like Matt Skinner for that. Like, I think he's very dope for that. But yeah, probably when I'm like writing something down, because I can't think of any other moment. Like if I'm playing football, I'm a decent footballer, but I'm sure I'm thinking about scoring this goal before I've.
Right. Yeah. So you're not fully.
Yeah, I'm not fully in it. You know what I mean? I'm not. But writing is a bit more relaxed, isn't it? You're there. You're just thinking.
And when you're writing, are you ever aware of time at that moment?
I'm interested in why you would ask that question.
Well, let me land. Are you aware of time?
Aware of time? Yeah.
But like, for instance, how does time move when you're writing? Does it move very quickly? Does it move slowly?
Do you mean how long it takes me to write?
Or just like, have you ever like looked up and go, oh shit, or like, oh, okay, no, I still have time. Do you know what I mean? Do you think about time?
Not really, no.
Okay.
No.
The reason why I'm saying this is because there's a concept called like, when you're in flow. And then that is like when you're in flow is when you're fully present. Like you're not thinking about time. And I know for like people, for instance, that maybe are like struggling to find what they're good at in life, what they want to do in life. A very good way of working out what you're good at and what you like is when you lose all sense of time when you're doing something, because you really enjoy it, but you're also very present.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you said that, Because one of the things I thought about is, I don't know if you know what an artist vacancy is.
No.
So what they do, some artists, when they're creating something, they go elsewhere.
Okay.
You know, like a cottage or a village and
like a retreat or
yeah,
okay.
And then they record there and they write there. Well, I don't know, they could have written at home, but they record there. I definitely wouldn't write somewhere else. I would probably write there. But over there, I definitely believe I'd lose. You'd be in flow, because as an artist that hasn't, broken through yet, there's obviously processes are a little bit, you know what I mean? It's not, you don't just, you have to book the studio yourself. You don't have a manager. There's different things. But at that level, if you've got an artist residency or something and you're off somewhere to go and create something, come on, like, I probably wouldn't leave the studio for 72 hours, if I'm being really honest with you. I wouldn't come out of the room. You know what I mean? I'll probably lose track of time then. Because in that moment, everything's in sync. You're making, let's say your track is 10 tracks long. Because you're there's a higher level of seriousness and the 10 tracks linked together. So it just feels like, No,
it makes sense.
Yeah, but it just feels like it's just one drawn out, you know what I mean? And I'll definitely lose track of time there. But not now, no. I don't think I've been in flow yet.
Really?
No, not in flow. Perhaps once.
Yeah, but it's moments of time. Do you know what I mean? So, for instance, for me, when I've been like practicing DJing, I lose all sense of time, and I'm like, Ron, I actually need to do other things now. And then that's when I'm like, I really enjoy this.
I'm starting to understand what you mean.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like when you really enjoy something. It's like when you're with your friends as well. It's like if you're with your friends or you're doing something you really love, it's like you forget about time. It's moving so quickly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah. I still don't think I've had that.
Okay, so that leads me into another question I thought of anyway about like time, and if you had more time to write and to like really dedicate, because we live in London. We're not even just London, like we're adults, do you know what I mean? Like we have responsibilities, we have things that we need to do, and sometimes it could feel like we don't have enough time to do what we want to do and what we love to do. And in this instance, I'm guessing one of those things for you is music and creating music. So if you had more time to really dedicate to your craft, music, how do you think that would show up in your music in a way? Like what how do you think it would sound? Do you think it would be any different to what it is now?
It would be a million times better from my perspective.
And what's better when you say that?
This is why I said from my perspective, because I think as a consumer or a listener, it's hard to understand context behind what you've been given. So like, let's say I'm off to buy cream. I don't know if Sandra made this cream, if Amelia made this. I just see it if it's good on my skin. But I know that, so to bring it back to me, I know there's another level I can reach by way of sort of sequencing, by way of sound. Obviously, it's all art, so it's to do with the person, it's subjective. But for me, I know there's a better sound I could reach by way of mixing, by way of mastering. And I don't really want to, and to tell you the truth, I don't really like mixing the records too tough, because then it sounds too polished.
Okay.
But I just use that as an example. Sequencing and sound and production would probably be the biggest thing. Everything would be probably a bit more soundscapey.
Oh.
And just outside of that music, there'll be more things to tie in. For example, I told you that for the next project, there's an art piece that's coming along with it. And it's not just because it's cool that I want to do it. No, it's like you want something to hang up. You know what I mean? Like when footballers get the man of the match, they get a ball to take home. They don't just get the memories of that game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not just a sound cool. It's that I actually wanted an art piece, because it's like the painting is in a style of, you know how the Italian paintings, that kind of Renaissance style. Yeah, so people do lots of paintings on it, and that's the next level basically for me.
Okay.
A bit more soundscapey music wise. and then outside of music, a lot more things attached to the actual music, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So that's giving me two questions now. Let's say there's an experience with this album.
Yeah.
How does someone physically experience this album?
I don't know.
So like, because we're talking about art. Let's say you're gonna do an art immersive piece where we can physically go to somewhere, and the way that this, whatever it is, space. I'm gonna say space because I want you to tell me whether we are in the living room or whether we're somewhere else or whatever. Like,
you're thinking like
how?
that.
Listen, I study contemporary theatre and performance.
Do you know what? I love theatre.
Do you actually?
I love theatre, and the first time, it's weird. I go to theatre by myself sometimes.
As you should. I think.
Yeah, but obviously not a lot of people I know do.
Is that not a typical?
You were there. You were telling me I've got a background in poems and I got a background. I said, I love both of those things. I love poems. I love poems. I've never been able to, like, when I was in school I did, but I've always, poems are, because for me, sorry to go away from the question, but poems are like, for me, they seem kind of free flow. Obviously there's like haikus and there's, you know what I mean?
You know, you're okay. Yeah,
I know of course. Yeah. And there's different types, but for me, if I'm writing a poem, it just seems like you can do what you want to do. So that's why.
I feel you.
Yeah, so that's why I like it. But theatre, I love theatre. I went to see something in RADA the other day.
What did you see? Wow, we're really okay.
Come on.
Yeah.
Our school teacher took us to RADA earlier when we were younger. Very cool. But I went back there a couple of months ago. I forgot what it was. It was a musical, but I really liked it. Like I really liked it.
Okay, so with theatre, that is another way of expressing an idea and whatever. Yeah. So with all this, so you love different art forms, okay?
Yeah.
You've got a space, right, where you can create whatever, and the purpose is for people to physically experience your album. It's like an exhibition almost. Like what are we seeing now? You don't have to flesh out the full idea because I've just asked you now.
Yeah.
But like, what is it? Like, when I'm stepping into this space, like, where am I?
What's the budget?
Never mind budget. Like limitless. Yeah.
Limitless budget. Yeah. Okay.
But also like, we can like we're not going to space or anything. Like,
realistic.
Yeah, realistic.
Well, I'll take your idea, obviously, which is probably what I would have done anyway, in a living room.
It's your idea, yeah.
No, but it's you've given me I'll take your idea of everyone in the living room. I hope I haven't got your question wrong. But I think what I do is I'm more of a person, like I said, I like things to be a bit relaxed. I think when people come to see you, especially like, because some of my favourite artists have hardly got 1,000 listeners, but I really like them. So someone that's coming to see you, they really respect you in a way. So I'd probably just play the music out in a room, have everyone walk in, have lots of food, and people can do whatever they want, but probably a huge emphasis on talking about what everything means. Because obviously behind every track there is obviously a meaning. And I think as much as I wasn't comfortable sharing with you about the thing, I'd probably, in a setting where people are a little bit more...
So this is not enough.
No, because there's multiple people. It's do you know what I mean? It's like fans of your thing, and they actually... Because like me, I go to... My favourite songs, I go to Genius and see, what did he mean by that? I'll go to the lyrics and say, what did he mean by that? So they'll probably do the same thing. So I don't know how it would be, maybe a Q&A or whatever, but I wouldn't want it to just be me talking. I'd probably want everyone to talk and about each record. Do you know what I mean? But food, living room like this, talking, playing the music out loud. Probably. It doesn't sound too... And it sounds doable as well.
No, it does. And me, from my contemporary background, I'm thinking I'll push these ideas so much more, you know?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I understand the aspect of comfort. And let's say we're going with your idea where they are in one room. But there's so many ways that you can manipulate this one room. Whether it's changing the temperature with certain songs. changing the smells with certain songs. You could even have something with like the artwork where that changes too. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe there is food, even though that's definitely going to impact the smell. But maybe there is food as well. But like, this is what I mean in terms of maybe I didn't word the question in the best way. Okay, how do we further express this album in a physical space?
You're much more knowledgeable on that than me. Like the smells and things. Obviously, with my cologne, everyone would smell my cologne.
Okay, that's what we would smell.
Yeah, you wouldn't smell the food. My cologne would be the strong scent.
Right.
So that's one. But I like the movement of the art cover and the art cover.
Yeah, but even like the lighting, there's so much.
The lighting, the temperature. Yeah, that's cool. That's dope. So what's the budget? You've set it up.
Listen, you get the money. Bring me on. I'll be the producer. I'll sort this out.
Yeah.
And work on it. But would you ever do something like that?
If 100%. I'll tell you what. I hate saying one thing about me. But I can't. You know, a lot of these things take a lot of planning, and the planning sometimes isn't even that much. But it's just the fact that you have to do it. You can't be asked. Do you know what I mean? You want someone else to do that for you.
Which you can do.
You can do, but this is London.
Yeah.
So money has to be spent. You know what I mean? So it's because there's so many things you have to flesh out. It's just a bit time consuming. But I haven't done a listening party for this. I haven't done anything of any sort, but I know people that I know would love to do it, a listening party and something like that. So I'm gonna make plenty more projects. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're already writing, or maybe have written your next album?
No, I got a lot of the beats for it though.
Okay.
A lot of production.
So that's what comes first, the beats a lot.
Yeah, I cannot write to a beat that I don't really like.
So what typically? I mean, I definitely get a sense of the beats that you like.
You think?
Yeah, I feel like they're, like I said, nostalgic. I get like a old school hip hop vibe a lot of the time. Is that something that you're aware of, or is it like it can differ?
Definitely can differ, but I do know that I like samples, like voices, words. You know, I like that.
I know in one of the tracks, I think you've is it just the drum pattern, or there's no drum pattern in one of them?
Well, I'm sure there are some with no drums, yeah.
So it's more...
Because, you know, there could be no drums, but there could be snares. And there could, you know, hi-hats.
Yeah.
But a lot of things doesn't really... Drums are played out. I'm playing with you. I said that to see.
Drums are played... That's cohesive days.
Nah, drums are definitely not played out. But yeah, there's drumless music now. I think it's a term like drumless hip-hop. And it's weird because it's like hip-hop with no drums. But still, as long as you're getting your message across, it's probably easier to get your message across without.
Yeah, I guess having to stick to, and it also ties in with the fact of, I guess, even having to have this rhyming pattern.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like
you're smart for saying that.
Listen,
because I would have thought that.
I listen.
Because your rhyme scheme can be like so. I don't know, malleable is the right word. It can just go like, whereas if you got a drum, you have to, everything is the metronome, everything has to be based on that pattern. Like, you have to rhyme there. But if there's no drums, it's like a canvas, a bit emptier.
Yeah, and it can feel more like poetry. Which
feel more like poetry.
Just feels more free flowing.
Free flowing, yeah. There's people that do it really well. Like I like L Sweatshirt. Super dope. Very good. He does it really well. He probably does it to a standard that probably unimaginable to the human brain. You know what I mean? Because if you actually take apart what he's saying, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So live performances, have you done many of them?
Nah.
Is that something that you want to do?
Nah. Why? Nah, and I don't want, if someone wants to book me for a show, I'll see what it is first. If I don't like it, I won't do it. And it's not, I have a problem with, not a problem, I don't like performing things to people that don't know it. Would you not agree? I wouldn't perform because there was a period of time I was saying, you know what, I'm gonna go out of my comfort zone and do all of these things. After two of those things, I said, you know what, it's not for me.
Why was it not for you? Because you felt uncomfortable.
Felt uncomfortable. And don't get me wrong, I would feel extremely comfortable, probably at ease, if everyone there knew it.
That's not how it always goes.
No, but it does for some people.
Okay, yeah.
Like, you know, when I was younger, remember, I wasn't performing my own music. We were performing like Macklemore, Hold Us, you know, things people know. So people are doing this. Or if I was in youth club, or like, remember, people in youth club know your song because they go to the same studio. So when you do a performance with the whole youth club, people are doing this and they're singing a little bit back to you, but they know they know who you are. But sometimes when you go into a different space, people have no clue of you. And I will say another thing as well, and this is just the truth. I don't think promoters sort of respect independent artists enough. It's true, they don't. So I've been to a show where the first person, there'll be no one there for his performance. The last person, there's no one there for his performance. The middle person, everyone's there. Do you know? Because they haven't structured it right. But this last person's better than all of them. You know what I mean? This last person actually cares about his craft, got a guitarist, you know, and sometimes I think if you shouldn't really go where you're not respected, I don't think. And I know it sounds like I'm trying to...
No, that's a good question.
Yeah, I know it sounds like I'm trying to... I like performing, I do. But sometimes when you go into spaces where the appreciation is not there for the... Say if I did a listening party, everyone here sort of respects your craft.
Yeah,
so it's a bit different.
Invited people.
Yeah, so when you're speaking, or when you're rapping or saying something, there's a little bit more respect for what you have to say, and rightly so. But when you're somewhere else, of course, you could gain new fans, and a lot of people out here because his mates, he asked you to come. She doesn't like music. It's just, I don't think there's a lot of respect for music in a lower tier where people don't really know about things.
Okay. I've got a few questions from that. Do you think it's also because what you're rapping about that it hits more, that if you feel like people are not actually listening, or you feel that people aren't listening?
I've got a story about that. I wouldn't want to say it because the promoters would know who they are, so I'll stop. But for sure. Okay. But
But then again, I'd say that's also... That's down to the space that you're in.
But that's
also down to culture, though.
But that's what I said. It's not... But that's the space that they don't respect what you're doing here. Why would I go to... I remember I forgot how old I was, maybe 18. I had 2 grime raps, just 2 for my whole life. You know, grime's 140 BPM. You say things, it's not conscious, it's nothing like, you're just talking, trying to rhyme. I remember I went with a top grime artist. He was in a radio station. And I remember my thing's not getting received well, like what I'm saying, because this isn't me. This isn't my audience. This is a grime show. Yeah. This guy is killing it. Like, because you know grime, once you do your thing, you don't tap the next person, but there's some sort of thing that you know when it's his turn. So maybe then you'll stop and then he knows now it's his turn. After, man, I just felt... This is not me. His one was going crazy. Right, yeah. This is what he's been doing for his whole thing. So when you're in a space that's not for you, I don't think that's right. You shouldn't just go to everywhere. And I've heard people say, well, maybe you can gain new fans from here. Or you can get... If they really like that, they'll go from here to there. And another time, you shouldn't catch them at another one of their interests and try and bring... Do you know what I'm trying to say?
No, I do hear you, and
because it just makes you feel a bit shit, if I'm being really honest with you.
And I hear you, and I think actually picking where you perform, there's no problem in that at all, especially if your music is the type of music that I actually want you to listen. Because there is, and again, I'm only speaking from a very London lens, because people consume music differently in other parts of the world and whatever. But yeah, there is especially if we are thinking more of like the kind of hip hop events, the open mic events or whatever, there is like a culture where it's like you outright won't listen to the person on the stage, and
It happened before, yeah.
However, there are other spaces, platforms that it is all about the listening. There's like, for instance, So Far Sounds. Their whole setup is when you buy the ticket, you don't know who's performing. Then they'll have free artists that can make very different music. People that will go to that are intentionally trying to come across new artists. They're going in with no perception, no idea. So and then also when you're hosting it, because I have hosted it, we ask them, don't talk. Like, please don't talk whilst the artist's on stage. Like, listen.
Yeah, but that's a space that appreciates the music.
There we go. So I think it might be just like, I mean, if this is something that you wanted to do, it's a case of finding more of those spaces.
Yeah, I agree.
Because then
100%.
And then that way you do gain new audiences, and sometimes actually fans that might never have come across you.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you know what I mean? So
100%, yeah.
Maybe more live performances if you want to. No. You don't want to. Is it also just because it's so out of your comfort zone?
When you say that, I don't think it's a fair assessment, because I do like performing.
Do you like the attention of being?
No, not the attention. Just the fact that you're saying that you're singing the music that you've made and people know it, and people. It's like performance. I don't want to be arrogant, but it's not hard for me anyway. So it's not no stage fright. I don't get stage fright or anything. It's easy, but it's sort of imagine talking about. Pick any one of the songs that the suicide song. Imagine actually wanting to, and you just got. It's like,
no,
what are we doing? What are we doing here? You know, is that doesn't.
But let's just say, for instance, Earl Sweatshirt was here in the UK, and he's like, bro, or someone was like, yeah, he's looking for support acts.
But that's different, though.
Why is that different?
It's definitely different, because obviously there's you'll be able to monetize that.
Oh, okay, the money,
yeah.
I mean, he might not pay.
No, but you'll gain new fans from it.
So you do gain new fans from
Of course, there are exceptions to the rule. The exception doesn't disprove the rule, darling.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't. It just means this is what I do, unless Earl Sweatshirt came and said, you know what I mean? He's got to pay me a bit, though. He's probably definitely making money off of tickets.
Okay.
No, even if he don't pay me, I'll do it.
You would, exactly, because also you'd know the people in that space. They want to hear this music. You might not have all of them. Some of them are still rocking up at 9 when he actually comes on stage. But then there are some people that are like, no, I want to see the support acts.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. Yeah.
So are there any UK artists that, for instance, let's say that they're doing a headline show and they're looking for support acts?
It's a million. There's a million.
Okay, give me 5.
Give you 5. Jadacy, very underground.
I've never heard of Jadacy.
Very underground.
How do you spell their name?
As how it sounded, Jada, Jada.
That was like a little passive aggressive. How it sounds, okay?
Jada,
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, he's really good. Loyal Kana is very good. I know you like him.
I'll be there. Yeah.
Cool. You'll be there for who, me or him, if you would?
I'll be there for both. I'll be there for it all.
Okay. All right. I know. Okay. Gets, I think he's very, very good. Extremely good. I want to come up with a few more underground.
Okay.
Which I can't think of, so I'm saying
so
Kano.
Underground. Don't know their name.
I don't know their name. Okay. That's how underground they are. So I'm saying Kano. He's definitely not underground, but again, he's very, very good. And then one more, because that's 4. One more is I want to support myself. I want to support myself because I think that's important.
So you're going to come up twice at your own show?
I'm going to come up twice at my own show. The first time I come to the stage, one side, one half. And the second, I'm just saying that because I can't think of a name. But there's lots. It'll probably be rappers. You know, the Little Sims, the ones that are a bit the Little Sims, those types.
So is Little Sims on the list? Because you only said men.
Is that what we're doing here?
You're saying Little Sims Little Sims type.
Let me
Would
tell you
Little
who I
Sims
want.
be on the list?
Miss Dynamite.
Oh?
Little Sims.
You just named
Cleo
women.
Soul. No.
He knows women.
No. This is what I was gonna. I was gonna say this before you even mention it.
Okay.
Miss Dynamite, Kelly LaRock, all of these.
If you say Miss Dynamite one more time, it doesn't count. Doesn't count. But okay, I'm glad. Yes, you know women.
The second Miss Dynamite was Miss Dynamite. That's another artist. So I didn't repeat. Miss Dynamite. She's underground. So underground you can't even find her.
Can't even find her on the streaming platforms. But okay.
To be fair to you, there's not much well, there probably are, but there's not many conscious female rappers, I wouldn't think.
From your perspective.
From my perspective. But you'd probably agree if we searched and did our research.
Does it matter if I agree?
Well, it does, because obviously then the ratio would obviously be different.
Okay.
Right.
There probably are that we're just not aware of.
Yeah.
But okay, so I say we have about 5 minutes left that we'll wrap this up. But is there anything, for instance, if you had to have a disclaimer for this album?
A disclaimer?
Yeah.
Wouldn't have a disclaimer.
You wouldn't?
No, just take it as it is.
Well, you know, like for instance in books, you've got like a foreword.
Forward, yeah.
Is there anything that you'd say that kind of like, I don't know, like this is for the person who or you know, I wrote this at a time, you know, something to really set the tone before we dive into it?
Well, I just say this is for people that are feeling a bit lonely, to be honest. Yeah, people are a bit down on their luck, a bit sad. Yeah, that's probably what I'd say. Yeah, that's what I'd say. And then the second line would be just listen to the best album of 2024. No, I wouldn't add that, but I would definitely add the first part because it is for those people.
And is there anything you would say to those people if they're watching right now? If maybe they are feeling a bit lonely, is there anything you say to them?
No, I don't want to be too, because I think they can hear it in the music. Because I feel like I wrote it quite well.
Yeah.
And I just tell them obviously not to feel like that. Is that what
you just tell them, stop feeling lonely.
Stop feeling lonely. Go out there. No, I just tell them to do the right things. Yeah, do the right things. And the right things as it relates to what's good for you, as in perfect outcome for you, yourself, your family, if you've got kids, your kids, and what makes them live a fruitful life. You know what I mean?
And again, with the language, because that brings me back to when I asked you about good or bad. So is it more a question of what's right and wrong?
But do you see I elaborated? I said for your what's fruitful for your...
Exactly, for yourself. Context.
Yeah.
Reason.
Yeah. I feel like I've been quite...
No, I'm just tying it in. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
We initially started... Well, earlier on in this conversation, there was a touch on, you know, good, bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so would you say this album explores more the good, the bad, or the right and the wrong?
I'm having to have a think about that.
Even I don't even know what I've just asked you. I thought I've asked you such a ridiculous... I don't even know how to answer that.
You think I'm the Dalai Lama? You're making me like, you think I'm the Dalai Lama?
I don't know. Okay, okay.
I can answer it, but it's these questions are deep, man.
Listen, I read deep. I think deep. I am deep. Okay, but you said this is for people that are feeling lonely.
Yeah.
Is this to hopefully to comfort them in their loneliness?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't want them to wallow in it.
No.
I'd
soothe it,
yeah.
It.
I want it to comfort them, but I'd also want them to see, hey, there's a person here that's talking in your language, almost. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it's hard to find people that connect with you. Because that's why I said when you referenced poems, and I was like, ooh, I'm interested. I didn't know I was actually genuinely thinking, oh, that's cool, and I didn't want to say it, but I thought,
why not? I'm joking. So this was an impact.
Yeah, I didn't want to.
What was that? Oh, okay. Yeah.
I didn't want to say it, but I was like, oh, I'm actually interested in this myself. And sometimes when you think like that, you think, am I just making this up? It's like, no, I'm not. I'll go to the fit. I'll go to. There's actually, yeah. So yeah, to tell those people that there's someone there that's speaking in your language, or feels the same way you feel. You know what I mean?
So you do care, and people do see the point.
Yeah. You just elaborated on it perfectly. Where I couldn't find the words, you made it fit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I think
worries.
we've had a very fleshed out conversation.
No worries. I would like people to go and buy the album. I'm not going to say it, but go and buy it. And you know what I mean? And just listen to it.
Yeah, listen to it.
Listen to it, yeah. You don't, to be honest, I'm a realist. You don't have to buy it, just listen to it. I'm all right with money. You know what I mean?
You made that clear.
No, yeah, but I don't, I don't want to treat people like they're customers. Just listen to it.
Yeah.
Because I do want people to listen to it. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure people will. It's out today.
Yeah.
We are all dead in the living room.
Yeah. Thank you for doing this, by the way.
No
I
problem.
appreciate it.
Thanks for trusting me with this.
Nah, you're my spiritual optimist.
I am.
You're my spirit, and when those two words combine,
it's a great conversation.
Yeah. No, really, you are quite cool.
When you are ready to get deeper on subjects, I'll come with my books and my references and we can discuss this.
I can just imagine you like a book geek. Like,
what's a book geek?
You just come with a bag of books.
Yeah, I actually want to discuss my books that I've read.
Is it? I'm more than happy to discuss them.
Have you even bought the book that I suggested to you?
No chance. How do you expect me? How do you expect me to remember? You'd even send it to me on.
Okay, Bell Hooks.
Can you?
All about love. That's where we will leave that.
Okay, but that's not what it's about today.
No. It's about
don't confuse
loneliness. Yes, it's about.
We are all dead in the living room.
Yes, by reubencmg.
Yeah, the greatest rapper.
Formerly known as RG.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. Oh, did you forget?
No, that is correct. I just wonder where you're going with it. TZ. But not known like that anymore.
TZ on the Reezy. That's
and she's been Amelia, formerly known as.
No, just Amelia.
Just Amelia for your whole life. It's a bit boring.
What my name?
No nicknames, nothing like that.
Ams. That's what people call me. They call me Ams. Hence why my last name is Poamz. Like poems.
Ams is not a nickname. A nickname is something that's super duper unique. I know a million people called Ams.
Who?
Anyone called Amelia. Anyone called Amelia.
Call them.
All right. But yeah, thank you for doing this with me.
No problem. Thank you for trusting me.
Cool.
And yeah, I hope people listening to this
have
gotten what they needed out of this.
Cool. Over and out.